To everybody out there. Happy Wednesday, hump day. Man, man. So much to talk about. So much to talk about. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. And I apologize for our tardiness. That was definitely on me. I got hit with Atlanta traffic. I had to run some errands, and certain places didn't have what I needed. So I had to go to a whole nother store and then a whole nother store, and I kept getting pushed further and further and further back. And then I got hit by that traffic hardcore.
Oh,
Welcome to
Atlanta.
everybody coming in the room. We got people coming in the room already, man. But I'm just glad to be here. Love to be here with you guys. My phone started blowing up when I got the news or when the news came out that Kendrick was dropping an album. So I know people want to hear about that. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Pusha T's album leaking and all that stuff, and everybody seeming to have their hands on the album. And we're also going to talk about that Terminology and Paul Wall album. Shout out to Blue Collar Hustler with a super chat early. He said, I've been waiting on this for the last 48 hours.
Right.
Well, hopefully we won't disappoint. We got a lot of thoughts. We got a lot to say. We've been speaking offline. But you know what? Hold on. Let me make sure my joint's plugged in because I don't want my phone, or not my phone, my laptop dying out
It
here.
just went out on my
Yeah, I
end.
just went out on your end. Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
there we go.
yeah.
Nah, my laptop wasn't charging, so I want to make sure that my shit don't die while we're live. But first off, man, we gotta say rest in peace to DJ K Slay, man.
Yes. Um, do you wanna go ahead? I know
I
you
was
had some.
devastated to hear the news, man. DJ K Slay goes back, and for people who don't know, he goes back way back into the graffiti writing. He, was a participant in some of the biggest forms of the craft of hip hop that you could be in. Number one, a DJ. DJ is the cornerstone and just the center of the universe when it comes to hip hop altogether, and graffiti writing.
Right.
And he did both of those on a high level. Now, for me, when I got really introduced to K Slay
Mm-hmm.
was during the Jay Z and Nas thing. I think I was telling you this off of offline, man. I remember when Hot 97 was showing their favoritism and radio in general was showing their favoritism. When I wanted to hear Nas side of things, I know I was gonna hear the leaks from DJ K Slay. Even though I know that eye for an eye was on Clue somehow, Clue probably didn't even know that was going on. But when Ether and all that hit, and and the leaks for Last Real Nigga Alive, K Slay was the voice that I heard over those records. And yeah, I remember that vividly, and I've been a fan ever since because I know that he was about that hardcore hip hop and really wasn't about the machine or kissing ass to the machine, for lack of a better term.
Yes. All those things.
Shout
Um,
out to I'm gonna get to you real quick. Uh, what is this? Fatini? I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. With the super chat says, "I got my popcorn ready. Hi, can't wait to hear this conversation." Blue Collar Hustler says, "Don't forget to discuss Nas dropping new video slash merch for Magic on the 28th anniversary of Illmatic." Yes, we're gonna talk about both of those things. Go ahead, Coop. You were gonna say your thoughts on K Slay.
no, I don't have too much to say. I think you covered most things wonderfully. For those who didn't know, he operated at a legendary level in two of the five elements. As a graffiti artist and as a DJ, in just terms of his legendary level. Because he's a legendary graffiti artist and a legendary DJ. There aren't a lot of people that can say those things that have impacted culture the way that he has. I think for a lot of people, their familiarity with him musically is because of the thing that you just stated. It's like where you had to get like Nas's perspective. I can remember one of the K Slate tapes actually had like the Nas interview where he was talking about like the dynasty is dying nasty at the end and he starts
Yeah.
laughing. That was like the first time I heard Nas laugh. You know, you know what I mean? And so like that was like on K Slay. So I think a lot of people musically are going to remember him from that time, just providing some balance to it. And it's like you said, well, if you wanted to hear Nas's perspective of the Nas joints, you kind of had to go like through K Slay at the time, and he was somebody that was like really addicted to the core of hip hop and the fundamentals. And rest in peace to him.
Yes. Sorry if I butchered the name earlier. He said it's Fantasy 731. Your mic sounds a little muffled. I want to make sure you clear because we got a lot to talk about today. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, K Slay was on the core of this shit, and a real dude. I never met him, but everybody that I know that met him and got to know him, they all say the same thing. And like I said, as a listener and as a hip hop fan, I really appreciated the balance that he provided during a time where, all the commercialized MCs, especially from New York, it was like very one sided. He was really down with the core of the shit. And like I said, even with his most recent releases, you see straight spitters on his stuff.
Yeah.
Playing no games. And I do, and Leroy Green says K Slay came in with Dipset. I do remember him hearing K Slay over a lot of Dipset in those mixtape records that I used to hear back in the day. So rest in peace to him. Icon in hip hop, and definitely truly be missed.
All right.
There's a lot of places we can go here. I know we were talking about the Paul Wall and Terminology album, but we can get to that. I want to talk about, and I know people want us to talk about this Kendrick release and Kendrick being back outside and, yada, yada, keep the same energy, blah, blah, blah. We will keep the same energy because we got to hear the music. But first things first, though, I want to talk about how this has affected Pusha T and how it feels like everyone has heard Pusha T's project. Now, me personally, I want to support Pusha T and what he got going on. And, a big fan of Daytona, big fan of Pusha T, period. So I don't want to listen to the album until Friday. I know some of you guys out there probably not heard about it, probably have heard the album because y'all on our Twitter feeds talking about you've heard it and what you think about it. We're not going to actually review it till Friday. But I do think that the fact that his rollout has been so long and extensive and done in such an old school way, it has really messed up his release. And to put more on top of that, 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes after he announces when his album is coming out, which will be this Friday, 10 minutes after that, Kendrick Lamar comes with some cryptic, weird message on his website that we're going to get to and says that he has a release date. So now, all this rollout, all these interviews has been overshadowed by an MC who hadn't dropped an album in 5 years actually giving people a release date. I've said a lot. I want to start with the fact that who's to blame here, Coop, for this botch of a rollout? I'm just going to call it what it is. And I love Pusha T. I'm sure some of his people listen to our show or, many of his fans listen to our show. Who's responsible for this botched rollout for Pusha T?
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you last year I didn't like how this was shaping up. I didn't like how long it was taking, and I understand as well as anybody, life happens, and sometimes it happens for the unfortunate, and it affects your timeline of the way that you perform at your job. But I told you I didn't like this rollout, and I told you I didn't like the length of the rollout. We live in a get it and give it up fast type of time and culture, and you just have to you gotta load up the clip and then put the clip in, and then take the gun off safety, and only then will you cock it back and let people know, because you have to fire and fire fast. Like you can't walk around. I got a gun. Other people gonna start shooting. Other people gonna start shooting if you tell them you got a gun. And so he been walking around like, hey, I got the biggest, baddest gun. I got the biggest, baddest gun. Well, other people gonna start shooting. That's what happened. And I told you, like this whole Pharrell thing, a problem from the jump. Like, Mike, what did I tell you wasn't a couple days ago? Didn't we talk like 2 days ago? 2 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
I said, This is an old rapper listening to an old producer because he's his friend. And it's very problematic. And this is what happens when you don't stay fresh. And I say this with all due respect because it's the first time I've said it in praise. Kanye is a big ass kid. He thinks like a child creatively. That is why he is so great at taking grown ass rappers in their 30s and 40s, Jay-Z, Common, Pusha T, and making classic material with them. He's a big ass kid. Pharrell's not a big ass kid. So you listen to an old producer, because the last time Pharrell produced like a hip hop classic to me, it was with Chad when they did Hell Hath No Fury for the Clips.
I'm gonna say this, and you know I'm a Neptune guy, and I'm a Kanye fan too. I'm a fan of both of them because they're creators. Let me get to the super chats real quick so I can finish my thought. Ray Rim says, "What's that?"
I said I'm not finished. Either.
Oh no, okay, I'll let you finish. My bad. Ray Rim says, "Did you brothers get my Cash App and the message making in text form document for the rap list, so we can copy and paste your categories?" You know what? We actually got something coming for that. I didn't see that message. We'll check for the Cash App or whatnot. Appreciate that too. But yeah, we're gonna do something with the rating system where people can have that in tangible form, just like the yearbook and all of that. KL of 007 says, "Guys, don't forget the super chat from Friday. Nas and Biggie's relationship chilling in Queens in the early 90s. Jay fooling the public, making it appear that he was closer to Big than he really was. In my opinion, same high school don't mean nothing." This is true. This is true. Man, y'all are really shouting us out with the super chat. We got Blue Collar Hustle with another one. He says, "Blame? What blame? This is hip hop. Jay released on the same day as Tribe and Cass. Nas released it the same day as Peak Jeezy. Push is gonna have to do what he was gonna do regardless of Kendrick." This is interesting. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say. I think that when it comes to Kanye and Pharrell, I love the Neptunes. You know I do. I think that Kanye is more in tune with hip hop, and where Pharrell might be more in tune with tastemakers and creatives, and Kanye is too. But like when it comes to that core hip hop shit and doing things in the hip hop way, that's all Kanye. And this rollout was very old school, and it left Pusha T wide open for, like you said, you out here talking about you got album of the year, album of the year, album of the year. You're doing interviews 2-3 weeks, I guess, out before we actually have a date. You're not giving people a date. The record label has sent this album out to everybody. Noriega said he had it in his files. Charlemagne said he had it. He listened to it when he did that interview. Okay, people are going to get their hands on it. And when you finally give a date, then let's just keep it real. The bigger artist comes through that everybody's been waiting on for a long time and gives a date. And now we're not really, I am, but the public's not anticipating this Pusha T project as they should. And with it out there and people already seeing that Kendrick got music, they're like, we're not waiting to Friday. We're going to go out here and see if we can find this shit. And people have found it. And so the buzz is gone. And this was a missed opportunity in the sense that this album should have came that week that we thought it was going to come, right after the Nego project. Now go ahead. You finish your train of thought. I'm sorry, because I could go on, and I will, because there's a lot messed up about this.
Well, let's just circle the wagons back around on Pharrell again, and the fact that we keep talking about, well, Pharrell produced this. I keep on telling you, where's Chad?
Yeah.
I want to hear the Neptunes if they're doing Pusha T stuff more than I want to hear Pharrell doing Pusha T stuff. And this is why, because it's like you're gonna lose some edge when you get tracks with Kanye and then tracks where you hear Pharrell without Chad. It's gonna lose some edge. And he hasn't made a hip hop classic album since Hell Hath No Fury with Chad. That was 2007. And so that's what I mean about like, I wasn't liking it because here's the thing about it. And you might be right about this. Kanye might have seen this too and been like, I don't like this. I'm out. Take these 6 heaters. I gotta go.
Listen, this is the first time, and we cover this all the time. We cover new music all the time, right? This is the first time I've seen a track list leak on like message boards before the artist has an opportunity to put it out. It's damn near like the niggas getting sabotaged. Now, somebody in the chat said Drake did it. I think that's funny. But I also believe that quote unquote Jack Harlow song that was leaked where Drake was talking his shit, he clearly heard the Pusha T album himself. Or he wouldn't even leak. Like why is it now that Drake is saying something? He heard something.
I don't like how comfortable everybody's feeling. I hope he is receiving and hearing all of this, and that track list that we just got is changing as we speak.
It's not. It's not. No. And then you got that whole thing where Kid Cudi's out here talking about this is the last song you're going to hear him and Kanye on. Like, what are we talking about? Is this part of the marketing too? Like,
what?
Like, let's keep it all the way real. Kid Cudi says a lot of shit. We have no idea like where his headspace is. We're gonna hear another song with Kid Cudi and Kanye West before it's all said and done. So I don't even know where that came from or what that was on. But the marketing and rollout for this project, I think this is a defining moment for anybody who thought that the old school way of rollouts could still work today. This is the prime example that it will not and cannot. Jay-Z doesn't even roll out albums like this anymore. When he dropped 444, which was 5 years ago, he just dropped it. He had those cryptic signs everywhere, but it wasn't like he was doing all these interviews leading up to it, letting you hear a song here, letting you hear a song here. Nah, that don't work.
So it's like I said, it almost is like, I almost feel like this is exactly how it feels to me. Like Pharrell is over there telling Push, like, well, you've never done it like this before. Let's do it like this.
This
like,
is how the stars do it.
This is how you do it when you're in the big time, though, Push. And it's like, no, nigga, he already is big time.
Don't be a mixtape rapper, Push.
No, Mike. Drake ain't been the same since Push dropped it. Like, what are we talking about? Why? What is the point? What point is there to prove it?
You know what? This is the meaning of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're gonna review the album Friday with an open ear because I see some people in the chat saying that we hating on it before it comes out, but not hating on it.
No.
I'm just saying that the rollout's trash.
No. I mean, damn all that, Mike. No, not even damn all that. Because that matters too. Because the rollout is old school as hell and it's not working. 2 points, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see how Nas just dropped Magic, right? That's how I know it's not album of the year, because it's like, no, if he had it like that, he could just drop it like that. And also, too, Hear Me Clearly is on there. That's a good record. That record wouldn't make Daytona.
Somebody in the chat said something that I was going to get to as well. He played his card in this situation. How do I say it without sounding disrespectful or dismissive? When he released that date, like I said, he released his date, what was it, on, was it Monday? At 1:51 on his Twitter, or 1:53. Kendrick Lamar comes at 2:01. And he's telling you, I got an album coming out 3 weeks from now. It made people forget about the person that got an album coming out in days. And in that stance, it kind of puts it out there you don't have the juice right now. Now, I hope the music proves otherwise. But if we're talking about from a buzz standpoint, all of that work, all of that legwork, doing all the interviews with Deuce Mero, with Charlemagne, with Hot 97, which were dope interviews, it got thrown out the window by a crazy cryptic tweet from Kendrick Lamar. Shout out to Daryl Baxter. He says, Y'all off on this one. I bought tickets to his show, and they upgraded the venue because they said it sold out so fast. The rollout helped the tour. Okay,
What for who? Push? Talking
push,
about the push?
push.
No, I mean we talking about the music though. We're not talking about him performing or selling out shows.
So
So
okay, I guess you can look at it from that standpoint where
right,
okay, the
that,
rollout helped his place in the market. Is it gonna help the album?
I mean the basis of this show is like mostly to review the musical side of things, correct? I
Yeah,
mean
we
we get
talk
into
about it
other
all,
things.
but you know,
Yeah, but I mean, but we try to keep it the core of it at the music, and I'm saying this rollout musically sucks, right? Right. So it's like I understand that he might be like getting a larger crowd and audience, and then it's going to bring in the question: well, how are we going to be sustaining this audience?
you know what? We could be off because a lot of people in the chat saying that we're off, and
My favorite. So I mean,
you know what? I'm a huge Pusha T fan, and some people are saying that the album is serious. Again, I refuse to listen to it until Friday. I'm gonna wait till Friday. I kind
I
of
don't
want to
know.
listen to it with fresh ears, and you know we speak on it
Okay,
then.
is is anybody saying that this album of the year at Daytona? Because I keep hearing people. Is anybody saying that? Because I don't hear any of that. And that's where everybody needs to start falling silent then, because it's like, well, that's what Keys was saying since late last year,
Jarv
right?
says, y'all realize that Kendrick and Push occupy two different lanes. I mean, it could be two different lanes, but there's only one king, right? Smoking
Competitive,
on your top five.
competitive sport.
Smoking on your top five. And you know what? I think I got to give Kendrick that move. For people who say they're the best in the game and this and that, all he had to do was put out a tweet, and that was everything everybody was talking about that day. Now, as Pusha fans, we can say whatever we want,
Right.
but on Monday, the talk of the town or the talk of the hip hop circles wasn't April 22nd. It was May 13th. And we have been waiting for that April 22nd date for months, right? We got to be honest with ourselves now.
Right. Let's not get lost. We got to look at the moment as it's literally occurring. That's what I'm saying. It's just
Yeah.
like I'm looking at how it's occurring, and I'm like, hold on, how did we get to the end of April anyway with this project? And was it worth that?
Yeah. I mean, I
That's
hope so. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, and I think where a lot of people are getting lost in what we're saying, I think things would have been stronger if he would have just dropped this album that's clearly complete at the beginning of April. What what actually strengthened this release by waiting to April 22nd? If
that's what I'm
anything,
talking.
I feel like it got diminished by the announcement that Kendrick made literally 10 minutes later.
So I have a question for you, right quick, Mike, and maybe the people can help me.
Mm-hmm.
You remember his first album, My Name Is My Name, correct?
Correct.
I still think that is his second best album next to Daytona. I think My Name Is My Name is a great album. I don't think it's a classic album. I think it's a great album, though,
Mm-hmm.
because he's pretty epic on there and he has some moments. I'm about to name 5 songs off My Name Is My Name. And I want to ask you what you've heard that's better than these records. Numbers on the Board, King Push, Who Am I with Big Sean and 2 Chainz, Nostalgia with Kendrick, and Pain with Future. Have you heard anything better than those songs off of this?
Nah, not so far.
And so when
Not
Kanye and Pharrell,
definitively. Not definitively.
right, so it's like, okay, so the expectation immediately needs to be more closer to My Name Is My Name than Daytona, is really what I'm just trying to say respectively. And they're kind of
No, no, no,
walking.
no, 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 no. I feel you, and I'm with you until Push is out here saying it's album of the year, and
Well,
we got
that's
to
what I
treat
was.
him like we treat Kendrick, because we're
No,
gonna
Mike.
get to him too.
Well, Mike, that's what I was trying to say. I
Yeah.
said, except for the fact. Well, that was my final thought. Was like,
Okay.
except for the fact that they are walking around acting like it's Daytona. I'm talking about in reality, like they're walking around acting like they're giving us something Daytona-ish. And what I'm saying is it really based on what I'm hearing is like we need to be happy if we get My Name Is My Name.
Yeah. I agree with that. I like Diet Coke a lot. And I think that with Diet Coke and the video that they put out for it, I think what should have happened, and again, just my personal opinion as a fan, I think right after Diet Coke came out, they should have put that album out. Now, whatever was going on with the Nico thing, I don't even know why he even had to wait on that either. That I don't think that really helped or hurt in any kind of way. They could have came out the same day if they wanted to. That's a compilation album. It really doesn't matter like that, right? Because Nico's not like a musician or anything. He makes his life doing something else. So I think after we heard Diet Coke and got a visual for it, we should have gotten that album. And then, then people start talking about the Jay-Z record. Because there's not going to be a video for the Jay-Z record. So what are we waiting on anyway? You know what I mean? Just drop it. And then that would have put the pressure on Kendrick, honestly.
Right.
But now the pressure is, it is what it is. People have already made a foregone conclusion that Kendrick has album of the year. And they ain't even heard Pusha yet.
We didn't say that either.
We didn't say that. People are saying that.
That's just how people feel.
Yeah.
We're going to get to Kendrick in a minute because we're going to get to that playlist that I made because I noticed something. We're going to get to that in a minute. But as far as the Pusha thing is concerned, I think this doesn't change his greatness. I'm not trying to take him down a notch. All I'm saying is that, maybe Kanye should have just did this project again, a la Common with Finding Forever after B.
Yeah.
Something that has a lot of highlights and you can put in the upper echelon of your catalog, even if it's not that same album. Finding Forever is pretty great to me. I think there's some amazing stuff.
I like Finding Forever a lot.
Me too. I really enjoy that album. I look at that album in the same vein. I think it's better than My Name Is My Name.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, me too.
I Want You's a dope record.
I was thinking about You Black Maybe. I love You Black Maybe.
Black Maybe's a dope record too. I like The Game. I like
You've Come the Dilla joint they redid.
I even like Southside.
Yeah, Southside's dope. The People.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, The Show. The start off to the album, The Show is dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. There's heat on there. And so what I'm saying is that my expectations were more along that. Like, you're going back to re-up with Ye, and y'all going to kind of do that Be Finding Forever thing, where it's like, oh, another great album to follow up a classic album. This just feels like we're about to get a really good album.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, that goes back to the standard. When we get a really good album from an all-time great MC, we'd be like, hold up, man.
Either people hold Daytona high or they don't. I don't think people understand how high you and I personally hold Daytona. And it's a zone, man, from a production standpoint, from a lyricism standpoint, from a song making standpoint. It does everything. And I know a lot of people's criticisms of Daytona is it's 7 songs, but I'd be hard pressed to find an effort that short that feels that complete.
That's Mike. Technically paid in full, Rakim's only rapping for 7 songs.
Right.
Illmatic is 9 songs. If you really want to start getting Holy Grail on that ass, Mike, Thriller and Purple Rain are only 9 songs.
Right.
You don't need to do an amazing amount of songs to do a complete body of work. You need to put out a complete body of work. It needs to feel like a complete body of work. The Mona Lisa, Mike, when you walk into the Orsay, when you go in, Mike, not the Orsay, the Louvre. The Orsay is the other art gallery in Paris. But when you go into the Louvre, you see the Mona Lisa in person. It's small. It has an effect that resounds like it takes up a whole space on the wall, you would think. The crowd around it is massive in compared to the actual portrait itself. It doesn't need to be big or grandiose to garner the appropriate or necessary attention in any form of medium in the creative arts. And rap is no different. Daytona feels full at 7 songs because it is. Mike, I'm just thinking about the beats that I've heard. The 3 beats that we've heard versus the first 3 beats that I hear on Daytona, which is If You Know, You Know, The Games We Play, and Hard Piano. And I'm just like, good night, just off production. I don't care how great he sounds. I know how great he's capable of being. he's been consistently great for 2 decades.
I
So
was
he's
talking to you about Stankonia.
yeah,
We were offline or whatnot. I was listening to Stankonia yesterday randomly, and I remember when Stankonia came out, it was coming off of Akumina. So I already was like, I feel like kind of like how I feel about Pusha at this point. I don't have any like it's not gonna live up to that previous album, and I don't believe this one is either. And it's like, and I'm cool with that. That's how I felt about Stankonia when I listened to it, and I know when I was young, I was off put by the fact that Andre wasn't rapping on every song, and like he was on Aquemini, and so I don't feel like I really appreciated Stankonia in the moment like I maybe should have. Now, granted, it's nowhere near Aquemini, right? But you could tell that there are some aspects of that album, now that I listen to it again, where this group might not have made a better effort than the previous effort, but they show growth in different ways, right? Saying all that to say, I look at Daytona like you said, like the Mona Lisa. It's a piece in itself. And I didn't like all of the talk about album of the year, album of the year. Even last year, we were saying album of the year and this and that. And they got this big rollout when it's already complete. I hope it lives up to those standards because I didn't even set those standards. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Like, I
yeah.
would have been cool if he would have just dropped it and it was just another dope effort, like you said. Kind of like a Finding Forever type of thing. But with all of the build up, all of the press, all of the media, it's like,
You got me hyped. Like, oh, you dropping Daytona again? It's like for real, because not too many guys. I mean, there are very few guys that come back like after an album like that and give you something comparable. It's
right.
extremely rare. And so that was the rhetoric that was being given to us. And I'm like, no, more like my name is my name ish, based on what I'm hearing. And I'm talking like production wise, because like as an MC, Mike, like especially like delivery and cadence wise on a track, oh well, he can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm going to hear some stuff that's going to make me smile, and like he's going to do some like because that's what he does. Special technique guy, like with that type of stuff. But that doesn't mean the album's about to be great. You
Nas the
know,
Go asked, which is better, Daytona or Magic? I personally think Daytona. But again, I think that Nas is Nas. Magic is a magic moment. And the fact that he made Magic in the same year that he made KD2 as well is just an incredible feat. But when we talk about from beginning to end with Pusha and Kanye locked in and did on Daytona, and then ending it with something like Infrared makes you want to just go back and like, yo, I gotta listen to this whole album again.
no, the visual aid that Nas provides at the end of Magic, though,
Yeah,
and pure magic, no tricks, no trick. There's something pretty epic about the ending. Like he gives you a little visual aid at the end and stuff. I don't think it's fair, and I'm saying this because I think so highly about Daytona, and we've had 3 years to breathe on Daytona and feel a way about it. We've had about 4 months of Magic. And so I find the albums to be comparable. Let's see how it holds.
I was stuck on Daytona from first
Well,
listen.
that's what I'm
It's like,
saying. I mean, Mike, I'm still playing Magic, and I mean,
yeah, me
I played
too.
Magic. I played Magic as much as I played a Nas album. I mean, I can't remember the last time that I played a Nas album. This much CDs were the thing.
No, I agree with you. I think Magic and KD2 are super dope, and we gave Magic album of the year. I mean, the people basically went on it and made sure that we did that. But Daytona, man, we talk about. I mean, the way it opens up, man. If you know,
You
you
know what it is,
know.
Mike? I think
Games
in
we
some
played, hard piano,
no,
come
that's
back,
Mike.
baby.
No, Mike, those first 3 songs, that's as good as a start to a rap album that you'll find in modern day times. It really, really is. As far as like starting off an album,
Yeah,
like that might be the best start off to a rap album. Like just if you're talking about like I told people, it's like when we're doing the lyrics thing, you're like, well, what are we basing lyrics off? It's like, oh, those first 3 tracks all follow the leader, you know? It's like, no, that's one of those moments in terms of starting an album in the last 10 years. It's one of the better starts that you'll find, arguably the best.
ran off on the plug too, like True Goy.
But
Come on, man. When you start an album off like that.
But what I will tell you, Mike, is that Magic doesn't have a comeback baby on there.
You don't think so? No, I'm not gonna shit on Comeback Baby like that. I think Comeback Baby's better than Woo for the Children.
So that's where we're gonna have to get into the quality of the MC, because although neither song is stellar, it's like who's the better MC.
But I do like the placement of Comeback Baby. I think that Comeback Baby comes right in the middle of all of that. And you know what I'm saying? Just the sequencing of that album and how that was put together, where you got Comeback Baby that's kind of like a break, and then it goes into Santeria like seamlessly. And then What Would Meek Do? And then Infrared, and it's like, whew.
No, I get it. I get it. Mike, you know how I feel about Push. You know how I feel about Daytona. I mean, we're talking about, in my opinion, two of the best 5 albums of the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And so super high praise. Like these are you know how I feel about Alfredo.
Yeah.
I think both of these albums are better than Alfredo. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah. Alfredo's great too. Someone in the chat shouting out Love the Genius. Yes, she's dropping on Friday as well, and we're gonna talk about her album as well. That's the homie.
Yeah, we support the movement. I want her. We reviewed Lotto's album, and it's like I want the same energy like for Love's project for like what she does.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that Friday too.
She's a dope MC, Mike. She's dope. I still play Bailey Ave.
She's a dope artist all around. Like she can do a lot of things.
Oh, that's what I mean. I still play Bailey Ave. That's the record that I play the most, Mike. Yeah.
So yeah. But as far as like what we're talking about with Comeback Baby, right? Listen, I think Comeback Baby is the weakest record on Daytona, but it's not a weak record at all. Like I think Comeback Baby is almost Diet Coke level damn near. I think Diet Coke's a better song, but it's not super far off.
Not super far off. Like Diet Coke is a superior song, beat wise, structure wise, even rhyme wise. Mike, it's better.
All right, well, let's get to this track list real quick, and we're gonna talk about some things that we like and dislike about it. Shout out to Jason with the super chat. He said, Mike and Coop, completely agree. I'm still bumping Magic, looking everywhere for the vinyl. I'm sure the vinyl's coming. And I'm going to make sure I get that vinyl too, because I got that Daytona vinyl right here. Let me go to Pusha's track list. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had one, I had an epiphany right quick.
Mm-hmm.
With the Ugly video, Mike, look at when it's dropping. This is what I mean about having somebody young and fresh. First of all, I want people to understand this. Nas hasn't run around with anybody like this since he was running around with AZ.
You talking about Hit Boy?
Yeah. You know how the first verse, it's got just the image of Nas, and then the second verse starts, and it's like, nope, Hit Boy's right there. And what I'm telling you is that where Nas is really, really winning, I know the quality of music is there, Mike, but he's got somebody young and fresh that's hip to what's going on now, that's keeping his pulse on things too. Yeah. So he's like, no, we can drop this project in December, Mike, but you're hearing the video where he's saying 83 on the way. That's just to feed the buzz. When are you hearing it? You're hearing it on the 28th anniversary of Illmatic.
Yeah.
That's how you move in this game today.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I love it. And I think that these visuals that they're doing for Magic at this point is to get you ready for KD3.
That's what I'm saying. They're out here playing chess.
Yeah. Because, even with that line, what he said on Ugly, it was on Magic, we were listening to that in December like, oh shit, KD3 is on the way. This is for the buzz. But where the real buzz is coming is these videos from that album periodically coming out. Next thing you know, they're going to have a release date for KD3 when they're probably doing a video for The Truth or something. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. In chess, 3 steps ahead. Mike, they're 3 steps ahead. It's like, no. We feeding what we about to do next year at the end of the year while everybody's unwrapping gifts.
Yeah. We got Kaylee007 says, this may be a special year in hip-hop with who else may come outside with albums. Jay, Cole, Jay-Z, J. Cole. I'm gonna say it like that because it sounds confusing when you say J and Cole. Can drop any moment. Then KD 3. They coming for the throne. Nas got. Well, in Jay-Z's situation, he's gonna need to come with 2 efforts. I'm sorry.
Maybe 3 after KD 3, Mike.
Maybe.
I think he's going to need 3, Mike. The releases have gotten successively better. KD 1 is not as good as KD 2. KD 2 is not as good as Magic. If that continues, Mike, I mean, Mike, the only thing left for Hit Boy and Nas to do, Mike, and I mean, it's going to seem crazy. The only thing really left for them to do after 3 albums is to make like a top 20 rap album all time, Mike. Because like they pretty much.
Well, I honestly see
they just dropped as many dope albums, in my opinion, as Gangstar dropped. Like their career, they had as many dope albums as Gangstar.
So jumping out the window now. We're jumping out the window, guys.
Gangstar has 3 great albums, Mike.
You think they got 3 great albums?
They got 3 great albums.
I say 2. I need to go back and listen to KD1, but I wasn't grabbed by KD1 as much as I was by KD2 and Magic. Personally.
Okay, well, how about this, Mike? Well, they equal Gangstar, because if you feel like Gangstar's only made 2 great albums, I'm assuming you're talking Moment of Truth and Hard to Earn, correct?
Well, those are my 2 favorites.
Right. And Step Into the Arena.
We just don't want to be prisoner of the moment. I mean, Step Into the Arena is dope.
I mean, Mike, KD1, KD2, and Magic is Mike. That's comparable praise. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They just did what Gangstar did in about 2 years. I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm saying that like look at what's really going on.
You know, the production work. I mean, obviously, Hit Boy has to get his credit because it's not many people who've been able to get Nas on this page on a consistent basis, and even some of the greats haven't been able to do that. But I gotta really applaud the pen work that Nas is putting in by putting together these efforts at this rate and at this quality. It's very dope.
Now, here's what I will say. Gangstar has probably made more classic hip-hop songs in those 3 albums.
That goes without question.
Right. And so I'm not saying like it's not a conversation, but I'm saying like, dude, they operating on a level that they can do. Like, I'm saying Gangstar's like, I love Gangstar, Mike. You know how I feel about Primo. I love Guru, too. It's like, no, their output is like that. It's like they're doing Step in Serena, Hard to Earn, and Moment of Truth in like 20 months.
Shout out to the smokers out there, too. It is 420. I don't want to, I'll be remiss if I didn't say that.
Let me talk about Snoop for a second because I had a sidebar thought.
Let's talk about Snoop in 1 second, but I wanted to get to this track list real quick. Well, hold that thought.
Yeah. Remind me of
okay, so Pusha T's Almost Dry track list. We got Brambleton as the intro. Let the Smokers Shine the Coops. That's the second song. And you got Dreaming of the Past featuring Ye. Neck and Wrist featuring Jay-Z and Pharrell. Just So You Remember, Diet Coke. Rock and Roll featuring Kid Cudi and Ye. Gonna be the last song they do together, allegedly. Call My Bluff. Scrape Off the Top featuring Don Toliver and Lil Uzi. Hear Me Clearly. Open Air. I Pray For You featuring Malice and Liberneth.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about this track list when you saw it?
I wasn't overly impressed. That's it. I just wasn't overly impressed. I was like, oh, okay. Like, there was nothing exciting on there. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, so much of the excitement has been stolen from it. It's like if Jay-Z was the exciting feature, like, you let that cat out the bag weeks ago. That was the exciting feature on there.
You remember when Drake put out Scorpion and he put out his track list and they made us wait for that Jay-Z feature until the album dropped, as most people do. I don't understand that decision. Shout out to Henry. I'm sorry. Can y'all do a top 20 Scarface songs? We can do that in a show. That'd be fun. I'm sure Coop would love that. But yeah, why do you not hang on to the Jay-Z feature? Because if he released this track list and we hadn't heard Neck and Wrist at that point, we would be like, yo, It's the first one I'm going to on Friday. We wouldn't, but a lot of people would be like, yo, Pharrell and Jay-Z, yo, I can't wait till Friday, right? How do you not hang on to that? That's the ace in the hole. Like, how are you playing the big joker so early in the game?
Right. Like, to be honest with you, like, if you want to keep the buzz appropriate and keep something like hidden, you drop the Cudi Kanye joint.
Right. But again, I feel like that statement that Cudi made was to make that song the big joker now. No, that's not the big joker. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
No, it's not.
We hear Pusha and Kanye all the time, and we hear Cudi and Kanye all the time. So that's not the big joker. The big joker would have been Jay-Z and Pharrell and Pusha.
Even if we did hear them, Mike, even if we didn't hear them together like that, like Jay would still supersede that.
Of course.
Supersedes that. Period.
Of course. Of course.
Period.
Shout out to the L Web 100. It says Nas's current work is dope. I just wish that he made more singles like Made You Look or One Mic. Man, Made You Look is a monster. Not a lot of people have made singles like that one.
Right. Made You Look's not getting made again, fam. Like, let that go. Lightning in the bottle. Let that go.
Made You Look is the closer, man. I feel like if Nas ever does a versus, which I don't think he will, because I think versus is kind of done. But if he ever does it, that's the closer.
He took an Apache break loop and said he was slave to a page in my rhyme book on a hook. Okay.
Yeah, man, that beat is vicious. You remember when the video started, man? Like when they had like the subtitle thing?
Yeah, the Rudyard Kipling quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like circling around and then the gunshot and it's like, yo.
Well, I mean, it was really like an ode to like how a king behaves like when people come for his crown. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, you know, it was like a mantra to like the etiquette of the king. And then the way the video starts and he's fatigued up and they're going through the boroughs, it's like
the fatigues. Have we ever seen Nas in fatigues like that since It Ain't Hard to Tell?
Like, right, not since early on, Mike. Yeah.
He was ready. That was war ready Nas.
Yeah. And if that joke once he's rapping behind the Pun mural in the Bronx, like,
nigga,
yeah.
What?
That's
I see
outside.
Niggas running. Yo, my mood is real rude. I lay you out, show you what still do.
It was at the Rucker, like that's outside. Like,
shout out to Jay Short with the super chat. He says, Jay-Z still the big joker? With a question mark? Yes. I think so. I think in this climate, obviously, you know, okay, if you want to say Nas is the big joker and Jay-Z's the little joker right now for, you know, lack of a better term, fine. But if we're talking about featured verses and who is waiting to, because I think we've all agreed that with the output that Nas is putting out there, we need to hear something from Jay. So at that point, that makes him the biggest draw, right? And he's Jay-Z. Why do you play that card so early? I would have to ask the people at Def Jam or Pharrell or whatever, like, why does that neck and wrist card get played before there's even a date for the album?
I mean, okay, like Mike, it's like you playing Hold'em, and it's like, well, you got 2 7s, you know, and on the flop, another 7 drops, so you know you got 3 of a kind, you know, and
now we talking poker.
Right, but Mike, that's not when you put all your chips in the middle of the table.
Right.
You wait for one more card to drop and see what it looks like. See what it's hitting for.
That's what you got to do. And I don't understand how this was played. I just don't. I guess they didn't, you know, I'm going to keep it real. They didn't see Kendrick coming. And I can't fault them because I've sat here on this microphone and said Kendrick's done. So they clearly didn't see Kendrick coming. I truly believe, and many of you guys who are saying that we're overreacting to this, do you not think if they knew that 10 minutes after Pusha T was going to give his album release date, that Kendrick Lamar was going to give his, do you think if they knew that information ahead of time, they would have handled this differently? I think so. Absolutely. I think if they knew that was a possibility, this rollout would have been totally different.
And also, too, you want to know what? And I thought about this. Even if he were to go back and change things right now, that would kind of be giving Kendrick like a nod, kind of like, well, damn, because he did that, I gotta go do something.
Well, he doesn't have to. We've seen it. I mean, and I know somebody earlier in the chat was asking like, who are the people saying Kendrick has album of the year? Whether it's Twitter bots or whatever, that's everything people could talk about on Twitter. And if
I
y'all want
mean,
to go back and forth with Coop on Twitter, his Twitter is at the bottom of his name there. It's at Coop_A2HH. But yeah, I mean, look on Twitter. And even look under Pusha T's post about his album release. People are saying stuff like, we don't care. Kendrick's coming. That's what people are
really,
saying. I'm just
really
saying.
on
That's
his
what,
page.
that's what people are saying.
Oh,
It's not, I mean, I disagree. But again,
very disrespectful.
the fact that you're able to be put in a situation like that, it shouldn't have happened like that. And that is exactly why these long drawn out rollouts are prehistoric, they're extinct. I never want to see it again. I'm sorry. I
That's
never
your
want to
man.
see it again.
Listening to your mans and them. Mm-mm.
I don't know whose idea this was. I don't know again. It sounds like, and I hate to blame Pharrell, but from
That's what
these
it's.
interviews that we're hearing, when we keep hearing this notion that Pharrell wants Pusha to be something bigger than a mixtape or whatever that is, a mixtape artist or whatever he's saying, it sounds like, okay, let's do a different approach. Let's do this in a traditional way, a big rollout. That sounds more like Pharrell's way of thinking. I could be wrong. Could be a Def Jam thing. Either way, I feel like Push got sabotaged. I mean, to the fact that Def Jam is sending out all of these advanced copies. Cool. Since we've been doing this over the past few years in the streaming era, have you ever heard anybody getting advanced copies of anything?
I didn't even know you could still do that.
That shit is crazy to me, man.
I didn't
That's
know
so
that's
2000, man. They got CD
that was
players.
a thing.
Shit
What are they thinking? Let me tell you what.
is crazy.
This shit is crazy. Like this is what come and say on the city. This ain't 94, Joe. We can't go back.
Right. This
Right.
is
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like you sending advanced copies of this, like to labels, like for other rappers to hear.
to
and, like,
other rap. Right. In today's
what-
time, we all are hearing the same shit at the same time. It's not like back in the day where you send an advanced copy to the Source magazine so they could actually write an eloquent review for the album and actually sit there and listen to it. Why the fuck does anybody need an advanced copy in this day and time? Why?
Or what they gonna do?
Shit
What are
sounds
they
like
gonna do?
sabotage to me.
Shit is very problematic. I don't like it at all.
Why? I mean, really, literally, why are advanced copies going out? Somebody in the chat, let me know why somebody would need an advanced copy of a project in the streaming era.
What are we doing? What are we doing? This shit is so problematic. I don't think people are understanding us. It's like they are literally rolling out this album like it's 2001.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Kendrick's not going to do that because Kendrick's living in 2022, and the people at Interscope don't make missteps like that. They don't. They are the best marketing geniuses in music. The
So
people
this
at
is-
Interscope, they probably saw what was going on, and they're like,
They're laughing. They're laughing.
let it fly.
You're like, let me show you operationally how this corporate business structure and model works on a modern day rollout for our biggest rap artist. Hello, motherfucker.
Jordan House says Mike made a good point a few weeks back saying that Andre's verse on It's Okay with Slim Cutter Calhoun is a precursor to Kendrick's vocal approach. I
Yes.
wouldn't even say precursor. He took that whole style and ran with it. And I think that's a decent transition.
Where are we transitioning to?
You say you want to talk about Snoop, but I want to get to this Kendrick thing. We got 255 people in the room right now. I'm sure they want us to talk about Kendrick Lamar.
No, that's cool. The Snoop thing was quick. Can we go to the Snoop thing and just stay West Coast with it right quick?
Go ahead.
It'll take 2 seconds. Stop thinking these rappers have your best interest at heart. People be like, "Coop, like, why you be taking it so personal to rap?" No, I'm not taking it personal. It's like I just want people to understand they don't care about you. Can you go listen to the Chronic or Doggy Style or Dog Food right now? Can you? Can you? Unless you have it on CD like I do, can you? That's our most beloved rapper. He's still a businessman. His goal is to feed his family, not feed you. He trying to eat out here. Hope you kept the CD copy like I did. Happy 420.
So hold on. Are you with that decision of him removing Doggy Style from streaming platforms?
What I'm trying to say is that our most beloved rapper and lovable guy, gangsta ass businessman too, and this is the music business, and so be prepared for these rappers to take care of themselves, not you. So when you're pulling up and you can't get your hands on it, don't be surprised. And for the first time, really like in a long time, like I'm actually glad that I kept my book of CDs because I actually still have the Chronic and Doggy Style and Dog Food and All
Well, I
Eyes on
mean,
Me and all that. So I can just wait. Only thing I don't have is Murder Was the Case. So I'll just wait.
well, I think there's going to come a time where people are going to need the actual physicals from the owners or whoever. Like I said, when the grid goes down. And that's why people got to go get that according to Hip Hop 2021 yearbook and the 2020 yearbook as well. But what I will say this. I'm not mad at Snoop for that. I get it. I think that the name of the game at this point, basically music's essentially free, right? With streaming platforms and things of that nature. If you do get up enough clout or enough leverage in this industry to actually go back and get ownership of your classic, do things like that. And now this thing becomes a Mona Lisa in a sense, right? Now, whenever you do have that physical copy of it, it's worth more than that. So I think it's a great move. I mean, again, I miss listening to Doggy Style on streaming platforms, but if I saw Doggy Style out, I don't know where my CD is now, but if I saw the vinyl of it out, I'd go get it. I mean, but I would probably go get the vinyl even if it was still on streaming platforms. But
True.
I think that the problem is these streaming platforms haven't done anything to benefit the artists. They benefit the labels. And it's funny, I just got through watching I think it was a documentary. It was on Bloomberg TV or whatever. They were talking about when music stops selling and things start transitioning over to streaming. They were talking about Napster and things like that. And we could have a whole episode on that. But the fact of the matter is, and for people who didn't grow up in the late 90s, the problem was labels were selling us bullshit. And so that's back when Blockbuster Music, and yeah, Blockbuster had a music store, they would have those little booths set up. You remember that shit?
Of course.
Because what happened was people were buying albums that were trash and only had 2 or 3 good songs on it and started trying to take them back. So they used to have to set up these little kiosks at Sam Goody and Blockbuster Music where we could listen to the music ahead of time and say, okay, I can buy this. But it just wasn't enough because they only did that for select albums. And so what a generation did, our generation, figured out a way where we could really listen to these things on our own without having to do that. And if they wouldn't have been putting trash ass albums out there and capitalizing off of them for so many years, we might not even had a Napster.
So it did a lot of things. And just real quick, you want to know what it did though, Mike?
What's that?
It refined our musical taste because you probably did this too at a Sam Goody, a Warehouse Music, a Media Play.
Mm-hmm.
Where else used to? I mean, Mike, they all had the kiosks, and you were probably like me. You were probably broke as hell a lot of the time. You went in there, couldn't afford to really buy shit in there, and so if you could afford to buy something, you wanted to make sure that it was worth buying. And so we would spend hours in there going through music. Like I'm going to tell you, one of the first albums that I remember listening to, like in one of those stores like that, was they put E40s in a major way on one of the kiosks one day at a record store in this old mall that's closed now in Charlotte called Eastland Mall. And I can remember me and my homeboy Tremaine was like listening to E40's album. And like he was like, this shit is fire. And then I listened to it and I was like, man, this shit is terrible. And we argued about it like the whole way, like home, but we couldn't afford to buy the album. So you know. And so but it refined our taste like that because it's like we was gonna split our cash up and pick one album and we couldn't decide, so we was out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like if you talk about genres that you normally wouldn't listen to, you can really take a chance on a record. Because like you said, you didn't have a whole lot of money then, so you didn't want to waste your money on a trash ass album. Like that's the worst feeling in the world back then. When you bought an album, I remember when I bought that Rough Riders 2 album, that shit was trash. And I'm sitting here thinking, I could have bought something that I know is fire that I don't have. You know what I mean? Like,
so this is how the reputation used to matter so much. Mike, my first 2 tapes that I bought, I had $30.
mm-hmm.
It was Do or Die and Liquid Swords. Like, I already knew who Wu-Tang was. I already knew that I was about to get my money's worth when I picked up Liquid Swords. I already knew after I had heard his verse on Life's a Bitch and heard him on Sugar Hill. And I think Mo Money, Mo Murder, Mo Homicide is starting hitting mixtapes. I was like, nah, I know what I'm getting. I'm going to spend 26 of my 30 available dollars on this rap shit. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
It used to be that like succinct like that. It's like, no, I'm not spending my money with like anybody unless I know.
So I ain't mad at Snoop for doing that. Ray Reynolds with the super chat, he says, Push told Charlamagne that he got into a disagreement on the direction of music with his producers. He didn't say his producers, he said Pharrell.
Yeah, Pharrell.
Specifically.
Sounds like everything was fine with Yeezy.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second, guys. I need to put my stuff on doing a show. Shout out to Blue Collar Hustle over here. He says, I think that the strategy for Push was to make a positive word of mouth and marketing strategy like how studios do in indie films. Review all being stellar. I mean, I could see that too, but I think that the review game it's different now. I mean, you see, we review albums the day of. I mean, or react to it. I don't think we do reviews much anymore. It's more about reacting.
I mean, we usually keep about 75 to 80% of our reactions, though, Mike. So it's somewhere in between. That's kind of the time that we're in, though. I told you, Mike, you got to give it up fast right now. So when people are like, well, how can you hear an album in a day and know that it's good? It's like, well, shoot, how can a rapper make like an album in like a week and know that it's good? And
exactly.
Like the Blue, Mike, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, like, we're going to talk about this Paul Wall terminology. I mean, right when I listened to that, I was like, oh, this is dope.
Mike, I was 3 songs in and I stopped and I was like, no, I need to download this because everything that we listen to and everything that we review, critique, or whatever people want to call it, I don't keep a lot of that stuff. Like, I heard 3 records on here. I was like, no, I'm going ahead and download this. It's going in my list.
Yeah.
You know?
No, definitely. Yeah. All right, let's talk about this Kendrick. If you want to talk about this now?
Might as well, man.
Okay. So Kendrick put out a post on his Twitter, and it went to a website, and then you had to go into a folder, and then it had a document here. And actually, if you go to that website now, it's just a whole bunch of folders with nothing in them. But this actual document says, PG Lang, the language enterprise. From the from the desk of Oklahoma for immediate release. Los Angeles, California, April 18, 2022. The following statement was released today by Oklahoma through his company, PG Lang, at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in Los Angeles. Album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Release date, May 13th, 2022. All factual information from this release will come directly from this source only. So, we're getting the Kendrick Lamar album in 2022. And sounds like the title is going to be Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. You said you were going to do some research on that Big Steppers thing. You come up with anything?
No, I didn't. I just told you his family, at least definitely, his family from Chicago. So when I heard the Big Steppers thing, I immediately thought of something live bandish, more musically driven, more frontmanish. Like, you know how they used to have the old bands with the band leader? And so that was immediately my historical like take from it when I heard the title of the album. Is like, oh, is he like the band leader of the band now? Like, I'm Mr. Morale and this is the Big Steppers. Or like, I'm David Ruffin.
Johnson Daily Sports with the super chat, man. Appreciate you. It says, my guys, again, where would y'all rank Kendrick all time if this album is at least good?
Let's start unpacking some of that.
Okay.
So, Mike, I did a playlist on Spotify.
Okay.
The day that we got the news, and it was a Remember the Standard playlist, and I picked what I felt like were the 5 strongest songs from his 4 previous projects, and I put them on a playlist. Now, here's the first thing that I'm going to tell you about where we're placing him all time. Mike, on that Spotify, we have and this is just recently what I've done. I did a Rakim playlist, and I did a Slick Rick playlist. Classic music-wise, he doesn't even compare to Slick Rick in terms of the classic songs. And Slick Rick only released 1 all-time great album. Now, he does have Lottie Dottie in the show, which obviously carries big weight. But his best stuff isn't all-time hip-hop classic when it's isolated by itself in a song, with the exception of maybe about 5 to 6 songs, maybe.
I think that's an era thing. I think that, Kendrick coming up in a time where radio's not important. I think that he's not really pressured to put out singles like that. But no, I feel you. I mean, I think it's a lot. I think that's a legitimate statement.
I'm not talking about singles. I'm talking about hip hop classics.
Okay, that's fair, because Mona Lisa's not a quote unquote single.
And neither is Indian Girl, Mike. You feel what I'm saying? Neither is The Moment I Feared. Neither is Treat Her Like a Prostitute. But we all
Well, he has stuff that rings like that. Shout out to Jay Short real quick with the super chat. He says, are we sure this is a Kendrick rap album? Compilation or Love Below situation? I was thinking that too.
I want to unpack that part of it too, but I just want to say, so we have those 2. So I did the Rakim and the Slick Rick playlist. And then I have the Nas storytelling playlist where it's just 15 Nas storytelling tracks. And I'm thinking like Nas has more classic stories maybe than you have classic like records that you've released like from these projects. And so understand that when we talk about him in the greatest of MC all-time conversation or where he ranks, most of it is because of his ability to put together albums, not even on a song-for-song basis. He didn't have nothing that hits like It Ain't Hard to Tell or The World Is Yours. Like, he doesn't. Like, he doesn't have anything like those 2 records at any point where it's just like, well, that's just fucking awesome. Because it's awesome.
Well, we got to give credit where credit's due, right? There's not a lot of MCs all time that have 5 albums that match the level of Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly. I mean, if we want to go overly dedicated, and damn.
No.
We got to give him that credit.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. No, we're saying the same thing. We're just saying it differently. When he gets spoken about in these conversations, well, really, if you look at it, well, lyrically, he's not, and he's great lyrically, don't get it twisted, but is he like Thought, Rakim, Nas, Lupe? No. Well, song to
song. Is he not that level, though?
If he is, where is he on that level? Because he's not them on that level. Because we don't have enough evidence of that. You get what I'm saying? Like, at that point, it becomes, it's like, well, if he operates on that level, give me repeated evidence. Because, like, I think you have albums like Follow the Leader, and it was written where it's like, well, those guys got more evidence lyrically on those albums than you may have in your whole career on a song-to-song basis, where it's like, well, why is this guy lyrically awesome? It's like, well, that record.
Well, I don't know, man. Kendrick got those moments, too.
No. He doesn't have those moments lyrically like you think, Mike. I told you, Feel is a moment like that. He doesn't have a lot of feel moments where lyrically he just spazzes out, and you're like, man,
what do you think about Rigor Mortis?
Mike, Okay, so what's the time span between when he did Rigor Mortis and when he did Feel? You feel
No,
what
I
I'm
mean I'm
saying about
just
how we
picking
can have that?
stuff out of each individual album because I could even say on Good Kid, Mad City, I could say the Art of Peer Pressure, right? He has those moments there. I could
The
say
art of
Hood
peer pressure.
Politics on To Pimp a Butterfly.
Hold on, you think the art of peer pressure lyrically is like an astounding moment?
He's taking it there on that, yeah. You don't think so? Ryan Gillum with the super chat. He says, "I feel like we may be getting two albums. His first post was through TDE as the last album. Now we're getting the post that PG Lang, but I could be wrong. I might be thinking too deep. Man, if we get two albums, I mean, he owes us two albums. Now then, if we get
Okay,
two different albums, then we can start talking like, okay, top it up,
so
whatever."
Mike, this is what I'm saying. So you went, what'd you go? You went Rigor Mortis, Feel. I said Feel,
Uh huh.
and we put Politics, right?
I said Hood Politics. I said Art of Peer Pressure as well.
Okay, Mike, this is what I mean about how, well, he doesn't really do it like that at that level like those other guys that you think, because here's how quick I can wipe that off the board. Watch this, Mike. Can I interest you in I Gave You Power, Take It in Blood, Silent Murder, and Live Nigga Rap? That's all on one album.
You talk about Nas, man. No one's saying Kendrick is Nas.
Hold on, Mike. No. Didn't we just say lyrically he's operating in that
Okay.
level?
Well, you said Black Thought too. What? I'm talking about Black Thought and Lupe, really.
Okay, Mike, I feel like lyrically on the cool, dumb it down, go gadget flow in the coolest. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no. Those other guys,
man.
no, Mike, those guys have flexed lyrically on a level on albums like that. Like you're bringing up songs from different points in albums. And that's what I'm saying is like, well, can he operate on that level? Yes. But has he consistently like those other guys have? Well, no, because I can give you 4 tracks off.
You didn't see? You didn't see the mathematics that you were tagged in from Nostalgia on Twitter. His verse on Nostalgia. You ain't see the mathematics there.
I love the verse on Nostalgia. That's actually one of his best verses to me, Mike. His verse on Nostalgia is one of his 10 best verses, in my opinion. Just so we're clear.
Hudson says, compare Kendrick to his class.
Well, I mean,
think that's fair.
No, that's not what we're doing, because every time we're talking about him, we're talking about him all-time great. You see how when I put him in all-time great context and he starts sliding down the scale, they're like, well, compare him to his class. It's like, no, you said he was all-time great, so let's talk about this Nas, Black Thought, Rakim, Lupe shit lyrically. You feel what I'm saying? Let's not do that. Let's not switch the conversation. Y'all saying,
okay, let's just be real. Do you think he's top 10? Do you think he's top 10? He dropped something. Right. Let's just say he dropped something damn level on May 13th. Is he top 10?
I told you, I said he needs to drop something damn level just to have himself in that conversation. So damn is the requirement, because what I'm saying is like, well, you're in this conversation because of that. Because on a lyrical level, although you are capable, you haven't proven it like those other guys have through albums, Mike. These guys have albums where they have performed lyrically on songs the way that you might get a record or two from him on an album. You understand what I'm saying? So there is a difference to that, because that goes to that output again. Okay? About operating at a certain level. It's like remember when people are running around and they were like, well, Black Thought is lyrically better than Nas right now. And I'm like, well, yeah, look at how many more bars Nas wrote.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, right? Kendrick's dropping on my birthday, so I guess that could be a birthday present to a certain degree. And it's on Pusha T's birthday. That's a whole nother subject or whatever. But based on this title and based on the approach, I'm expecting a lot of singing. And I agree with the super chat that said more love below. That's what I'm expecting from a Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I mean, from that title alone, I'm thinking like, is this a collaboration with Anderson .Paak with the Ike Turner wig? That I could see. What?
No,
I think him and Anderson .Paak would make a dope album together, but this sounds like some This sound like some dancing type stuff and some singing and dancing hoedown type stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Mike. That's not gonna work. So I'm gonna just try to break this down as simply as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lyrically, he's capable of operating on that level on the mic, but really he doesn't. You don't have enough songs to say that it's like, oh, well, you're Rakim Nas. Like, no, I mean, we don't have enough songs for that. All right? That's just the fact of the matter is, song to song, Mike, he doesn't give you classic hip hop records like other legends do. Like, he doesn't have classic hip hop records song to song like even an Ice Cube or a Scarface do. You understand what I'm saying? Where it's like, no, that song never got released, and all of us in the rap sphere know what the song is. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Going Down off the Diary, Mike. Going Down was never an officially released single. We all know Going Down off the Diary. It's a fucking classic. He doesn't have that. What he has...
He ain't got Money Trees, though? Money Trees is a classic. It's
no,
a cult
Mike,
classic.
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying he doesn't have these things. I'm saying in relationship to the people who are all-time great in the sphere that he keep getting cast in, the main reason he is cast into that sphere is because of the albums that he makes. Because if you're going bar for bar and song for song, he's not top 10. But if you're going album-wise, yes.
KL007, I'm sorry. Coop's analysis is valid since he's smoking on everyone's top 5. Kendrick is viewed different. If he would be viewed different if he never said that. J. Cole has the crown in that generation. And you know, also the Control verse too, yeah.
Trying to murder you niggas, right? Like, no, you ain't murdered nobody, dude. No. Like he hasn't been that guy lyrically. And so people need to stop taking a couple of verses off a couple of songs off each album and thinking he's that dude. Like, Rakim did more on the first 3 songs lyrically on Follow the Leader than he's done on any of his albums, Mike. Quote that shit and print it.
Madnan said something that I was just about to say, too. He said Kendrick lost his love for rap. KD off-season on the way. This is what I feel, and I brought up Andre 3000 earlier, Stankonia. You could tell when people either lose they try to say they lose their hunger for rap, or they lose they're not inspired by rap or bored with rap. I feel like that's what Kendrick is, because we haven't gotten any features. I mean, he jumped on Baby Kim. I'm sorry, I wanted to say Baby Sham, like I've been listening to Flip Mode or something. But he jumped on that record. But we see what Cole's doing right now. Cole's spreading the love. This is somebody who's really into it, who really loves what they're doing. And that's exactly why I feel like we're going to get a lot of singing on this new Kendrick album. I don't think it's going to be the rap shit. I don't think it's going to be that smoking on your top 5 shit. I think this is going to be a lot of Love Below type of artsy approach. And, you know, and like I told Coop offline, that's a cop-out to me.
Yes, it is.
You know, because, you know, you can't be smoking on someone's top 5, and you can't be, you know, I'm going to murder you niggas and this and that, and I'm King this, King Kendrick, whatever. And we talking about rap shit, and you go out there and do a rock and roll album or do a singy album where we can't gauge that. I'm sorry. He does a singy album like that, or, you know, something like, you know, dancing, whatever it is. He's definitely not top 10 in my book. Trey,
Mike.
Yeah, we got Trey over here with a super chat. He says, what about Kendrick's performance on Holy Key song? And we got AK's The Curtain says Kendrick is about to go Basquiat again, which doesn't do well for replay value. But that's just a snapshot in time. Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, I want to ask you something.
Yes.
Have you ever fallen out of love with rap, Mike, and be honest?
Yeah, there have been times where you're uninspired, but it's not a time where you're like, I don't want to rap anymore. I feel like, and again, everybody's different. I feel like when people do that, you just ain't got no bars.
Right, so hold on.
Because let's keep it real. There's been many a times where Jay-Z probably wasn't inspired to rhyme, and he put out an album anyway. Might not have been good, but he pushed through during uninspired times. Same thing with Nas.
Yes. So,
So, same thing with Black Thought. I mean, the Roots did it too.
them last few Roots albums,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm like, oh, so y'all pushing through, huh?
Yeah. And as fans, you deal with that or whatever. But and that's a part of being great. I mean, there's been times when, Stevie Wonder probably was less inspired than he was in another time, but he pushed through and made an album anyway. It happens.
It does. And so I want to speak to something. Well, and this is what I mean. Let's just give him a mulligan and say, well, you fell out of love with it, because it's like, well, I think we all have at some point. And sometimes it's for years, Mike. I can remember personally falling out of love with rap for about 3 years. It wasn't until I started loving rap again for about a year that I reached out to you, actually. Like, my heart wasn't in it on any sort of level anymore. So I understand that. But this man has had 5 years off. And I'm going to keep on saying this. No, like, this is your job. Like, this is what you're known for. This is how you're known. This isn't to say that you can't branch out and do other things. This is where and how your bread gets buttered. I'm going to go back to that Rakim interview in The Source, where he talked about the break, and he was like, at the end of the day, Ra, he was telling himself, Ra, go do your fucking job. Because he understood what his job was and who he was to the people at the end of the day. And that's kind of how it goes when you're a man and you go to work. And so, like, you don't always love going to work. And you're lucky and fortunate enough to be in a profession where you get to take years off of work. You don't get to come back out into the real world and be like, oh, I'm still out of love with it, so I'm going to give you like this singing shit and I'm still one of the greatest rappers of all time. No, like, that's that fairy tale rapper bullshit that I be trying to murder every time I get up here, because we let this kind of occur in the community and they never really come back to us, Mike. Have you seen Andre 3000 rap? Mike, you brought up Stankonia. Mike, you know the other
That was the last sighting of Andre. Well, honestly, if we keep it real, that was the first and last sighting that we got of Andre 3000, because before Stankonia, he was just Andre Benjamin. If you look in the credits, you can look in the booklets. He didn't have the 3000 moniker until Stankonia. And that was the last sighting of him as a rapper as we knew it, as an Outkast member.
I'm pretty certain them niggas went to Tri-Cities. I'm going to call him Andre.
You got to respect the name. You got to respect the name. He wanted to change his name. He changed it.
Andre, Mike, by Stankonia. Mike, I was bringing this up on the other podcast that I do here in music. Mike, he ain't been rapping since Stankonia, really, and wasn't barely rapping on there. And we just kept on letting it pass and letting time pass. And it's like, no, he's great. Let him do his thing. It's like, no. Like, what is he great for? Rapping.
What's his best verse on Stankonia, in your opinion?
Mike, does he have a great verse on Stankonia?
He does.
Question.
He does. He has three, I think.
Mike,
3 or 4.
The questions would probably be the best verse, Mike. Like, we're just talking.
I thought you might have gone there. I think that Humble Mumble was his best verse on Stankonia. To Democratic Republic, fuck it, we chicken nugget, we dip in the sauce like mop and bucket, blue collar scholars who take your dollar, wipe my ass with it, living for the lotto, never hit it. I met a critic, I made her shit a draw. She said thought hip hop was only guns and alcohol. Said, oh hell no, but yet it's that too. You can't discriminate because you done read a book or two. What if I looked at you in a microscope, saw all your dirty organisms living in your closet? Would I stop it? Would I pause it? And put that bitch in slow motion, got the potion and the antidote and the quote for collision. The decision is, do you want to live or want to exist? The game changes every day, so obsolete are the fists and marches. Speeches only reaches those who already know about it. This is how we know about it. It's a great verse.
It is, Mike. Can I say something, though?
Yeah.
This is what I mean about going to work. Do you want to know why that verse is so great, Mike? Do you want to know why the verses that he does on there are like great? Because he doesn't hardly do any.
Right, no, that's part of it.
No, Mike, like, You're not rapping on there. When he's rapping, it's like, oh man, he's great. It's like,
And
okay,
that's not like he got 2 more verses like that on the same song.
Okay, there's like 17 songs. We just got 3 great rap verses, and we let it slide because those verses are great. You get what I'm saying?
No, you're right. We're just happy that he showed up.
Right, we're so happy that he showed up. It's like, no, nigga, keep showing up and showing out. This is your job. If you want to take on a different job, show us that you are great at that other job. Because here's the thing about it, Mike. Do you see any reunion tours for the Love Below, or do you see reunion Outcast tours?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even tour the first time for Love Below. Shout out to Jay Short with the super chat. He said, we need to start calling out folks on this I've graduated from rap nonsense. YouTube, Bono, Marvin Gaye, they never got tired of their genre or felt like they were above it. You know, I think that Marvin Gaye is a really good example because there's many times where he could have said he graduated from R&B. He just kept elevating R&B. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, he never said, I'm bigger than R&B. I'm gonna be a rock star, this, that, and the third. Even though he had the talent to do so, he just kept elevating R&B, and you know there wasn't a what's going on in R&B. He didn't sit there and label that something else.
I don't think Stevie Wonder or Bob Marley have ever even made an album with the intention of it having a popular or widespread appeal, even though that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing in the fundamental bones of any of their projects that I've heard that speak to that. Nothing.
Kel007 says, y'all need to do a top 5 most disappointing rappers. Cats who didn't reach their potential, like Fab, Lupe, Cannabis, Big Sean, Joel Santana, all fell off, in my opinion. It's an interesting opinion.
Lupe fell outside right now. I don't know. I wouldn't say that necessarily about Lupe right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Lupe is somebody who's really been lurking in the shadows lately. Like, he's like, oh, you want to rap? Hold up. What you say? What you say about rap, nigga? Right.
Lupe.
Right.
Lupe goes to work. He just, he just got tired of the major label push.
I think he's somebody, Mike. A classic album would do him great measure.
And I think he can do it. He's at a skill level that I think he's at a higher skill level than he's ever been currently. I mean, somebody said on our other show that he made Royce hang up the mic for a second.
You can argue that his skill level on a lyrical basis, just bar for bar, is as high as we've seen somebody operate. You can make that legitimate argument about how insane lyrically he rhymes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
his brain moves very different.
Yeah, he's a different type of cat. So like lyrically, he's somewhere very few people have been, if ever, in terms of what he's capable of pulling off. Yes.
Now, this is what I did want to say. Okay, and we'll get back to Kendrick because I think this is still quote unquote on topic. I think the Miss Jackson verse is great from Stankonia, right? So I think Miss Jackson verse is great. That's a great verse. I think it's masked in a song that was a big single that I'm not a big fan of that song. It's probably, in my opinion, Outkast's, I won't say weakest single because it was big, but it's the single from them that I like the least, right? Other than The Whole World. I hate The Whole World. I'm sorry. But it's a great verse. It's a great verse. So, okay, let's say that verse, right? Humble Mumble. I think that Bonds Over Bad Dad verse is great.
Gangsta Shit.
I was thinking that too. That's 4. I think his parts on Red Velvet are great, but it's like they're not full out verses like that.
I don't like Red Velvet. And
Why don't you like Red Velvet? I think that's one of the strongest songs on the album.
Oh, I totally disagree. So I totally disagree. You like Red Velvet?
How can you measure a nigga by multiple figures? He made God. How did he not purchase the newest Mercedes that loses value as soon as you drive that bitch off the lot? That's very Kendrick, by the way. Will it still be the ladies most wanted? Don't go that you want it. He got it tight. I get it.
The thing with Stankonia is that it's not concise. And that's one of those songs where I can hear the drift. And I hate to say it like this. You hear the drift on the songs where it seems like Andre's the inspiration as opposed to the one where Big Boy is. Like, you can tell Big Boy's the inspiration behind Miss Jackson and So Fresh, So Clean. And therefore, because he's the fundamental root and basis of the song, The song has more weight. All that Dre shit on the album riffs, and it doesn't feel
What
as
do you feel
connected.
about Dre's? What do you feel about Dre's verse on Gasoline?
Mm-mm.
You didn't like that verse? All of my heroes did dope. Every nigga around me playing married or paying child support. I can't cope. Never make
Okay,
no sense to me. One day I hope it will, and that's that. That
right.
verse is
So,
kind of
so
dope.
no, that's the sign of a nigga who's not rapping the way that he used to. Because go listen to his verses at the start of Southern Playalistic on my intro to let you know. Two dope boys in a Cadillac and Return of
Return
the
of the
Gangster, and
Gangster.
tell me that that's the same level to start off an album. Facts. He not rapping like that, and you can hear it from the get go. You making my point?
Okay. No, but
Yeah,
honestly,
he's
that's
at the
exactly
same
how
level.
I felt when I first heard Stankonia.
Because it's true, he not rapping at the same level because he's not really rapping anymore. Because he think he too good to rap at the end of the day, or he doesn't like being classified as a rapper. That's what that whole humble mumble verse is about.
Yeah.
He's pretty much talking about, oh, I don't like being classified as this quote unquote rapper. Let me talk about it. He feeling some
Hip
type of
hop
way
is
about
guns
being
and
a
alcohol.
right. I said, oh, hell no. But yet
Yeah,
is that
too.
too. You can't discriminate because you done read a book or two. It's like, nigga, why don't you keep on rapping and prove her wrong?
Shout out to Nas the GOAT with the super chat. He says, Kendrick Lamar is definitely on the Mount Rushmore for this generation. For me, it's Lupe, Cole, Kendrick, and Wale. That's interesting. Kendrick maybe a top 15 or maybe top 20 all time. And you know, the thing is, man, what Kendrick has in his favor, and I'm going to go to Ryan Gillum in a second. He says, Lupe is the only MC that I know who will literally tweet a whole freestyle on Twitter and then battle somebody in the Twitter freestyle. Yeah, Lupe's super skilled. This is what Kendrick has going for his catalog, his lyrical ability bar for bar on a mainstream level in relation to his peers.
Yes.
And he also has this fanfare success. So when we talk about him in the scope of top 15, top 20 all time, and some of those names that are mentioned there, he shakes up things in the whole entertainment industry in ways that a lot of the people who might be put before him don't and never did. And so that's kind of what he has going for him. Like you said, his shortcomings are singles. Let's just say it like that.
No, Mike.
And I don't even want to say singles, classic songs, I guess.
Classic songs. I don't
Standalone songs.
Standalone songs. You know,
because that's what Drake has over him.
It is. Well, here's the thing about it. You know who else kind of has it like that? And they're from the 90s, and we didn't talk about it. And this is probably where I would kind of place him more now looking at it. This is how I feel about Redman sometimes. And this is why it's like, no, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just giving it some context.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Red, lyrically, great. First of all, I think Redman lyrically is better than Kendrick. Let's get that out the way. Because Redman has more depth-defying mic performances, in my opinion, and it's not even a question of that. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But really, when you look at why Red got respected, it's because he was respected lyrically for his era, the same way that Kendrick was respected, Mount Rushmore-ish. Like, I can remember the source being like, if we're doing a starting five of MCs from the 90s, Redman's on the team, and it doesn't matter who the other four guys are. That's who Redman is. And think about this. That's Tupac. Think about this. That's potentially Tupac, Nas, Big, you know what I'm saying, and Jay. Mm-hmm. You're not getting any Wu-Tang members or any Southern members or any West Coast members. They're saying Redman is lyrically right there. So he's high. But Mike, it's really his albums because much like Kendrick, it's like, well, Redman had a nice little album run. What the album? There's a Dark Side. Mm-hmm. Muddy Waters. Doc's the Name. Well, those are all great projects. There's not no whack album in there. All those albums are dope as fuck, Mike.
Oh, no, you're right.
Classics in, you know? But really, when you start basing it out over time and you go back and listen to those albums, it's like, well, where do those four dope-ass albums rank in the all-time canon of great music? Right. How often do you play those albums?
That's legit.
No disrespect. These are comparable feelings that I have about Kendrick, and people are like, I'm being disrespectful. It's like, nah, how am I being disrespectful? When I think, Mike, the last time I did a list, I had Redman at like 12 all-time with the things that I'm saying, like 12 or 13. You know what I mean? And so I would probably respectfully put him more in that realm of probably 15 to 20, you know, somewhere around where I would probably have Redman right now. Like Redman's always been 10 to 15 to me. and he would probably still be probably 15, and I would put Kendrick somewhere around in that area. And that's not disrespectful, because what I'm not about to do after 5 years of you taking a break is, because here's what happens over time. Like, we've had 5 years for his songs to become classic. They haven't. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't think there was any question. I don't think there was any question of what song he was going to perform at the Super Bowl.
Right.
There was no debate. It was all right.
Like, how many of these songs have like lore and become more classic as time goes on, because that's the mark of it.
Yeah.
Like, the songs kind of get greater in your absence. It's like, man, I ain't heard dude in a while. Play that such and such, and you have records to go to. Part of why we're waiting for his album so much is, Mike, because we don't have those classic songs to hold on to like that. That's why Good Kid, Mad City is so special. And so if you really want to break it down, he's done things on his albums that are special. Section 80 has a great feel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good Kid, Mad City has great songs. To Pimp a Butterfly is conceptually great.
Yep.
Mike, on Damn, he's great. His best mic performances are on Damn. He's the show on Damn. He's great on Damn. But Mike, never all those things at once for one album. So he has no Illmatic. He has no Life After Death, Reasonable Doubt. Like, no, it's not like that. It's more like Redman's career was. It's like, was it a classic? It's like, yeah, but it's like, where is his highest classic? Probably somewhere where Muddy Waters is.
I mean, are we saying that because, you know, we've lived through different hip hop generations, and you even said it yourself, there was a time when you fell out of love with hip hop. Do you think that that's happening because, or you feel that way because that he was coming out with efforts during a time when you weren't in love with hip hop in that way?
No, actually, if you really want to be more accurate, I mean, if I can be more accurate about it, he's one of the guys that kept me kind of in that time when I was out of love. And I gravitated to him super, super hard because of that. Him and Cole were the main guys that I followed when I was out of love with it, because they kind of kept me like, you know.
Well, this is the thing, too. And when you said that, and people talking about Kendrick being out of love with hip hop, this is a wild time to be out of love with hip hop between 2018 and now, because there's a lot of really good hip hop going on. Because Kendrick's going to be 35 years old in June. So he came up in an era, honestly, that was weaker than what this era is. So if he came up in the 2000s, and let's just say he came up listening to 90s music when he became of age, because maybe he had, like, you know what I'm saying, some older siblings or older people around that was playing him that. How could you listen to hip hop and be a part of hip hop from 2018 to 22 and say you're not inspired? Because we've seen artists that came from that 90s era get reinvigorated during this era because of the shit that's coming out. I mean, honestly, the content that we've been able to create has been so dope because of what's been coming out. So what's not to be inspired by? I just think you ain't got no bars, Kendrick. I say that respectfully.
No. So let's say it respectfully. Okay. So listen to what I'm about to say. How can we have him top 10 when somebody like KRS-One, Mike, who lyrically has been putting this shit down, Mike, since you and I were in grade school, this guy has been rhyming at an all-time great level lyrically, and he just dropped another stellar project this year. And when we do most of these lists, Mike, he falls on the back end of our 10. How can we put this guy in the top 10 ahead of Chris?
I agree with that. It's just a bad look when you go out there, saying you're this and that, and then when the game gets competitive, you're ghost.
Right. No, when it got competitive, he took his ball and he went home. And it's like, if you're back outside, prove it and don't sing and rap. Because I'm going to tell you outside right now, some of the all-time greatest MCs of all time, Mike, KRS-One and Nas are outside right now. Come on. Are they not outside right now?
They are.
If he's all-time great, come bring your ass outside. And make something comparable to Magic. Like, if this album's not comparable to Magic, it's like, I don't want to hear no top 10 talk out of him. Because Nas is at the start of our list, Mike. Where's KRS-One on your list all time, Mike?
I mean, he has to be a top 10 MC. I don't think there's any way to have KRS outside of top 10
So I'm
contention.
going to tell you where I have him, Mike. I have him at 8. I got Nas,
And a lot of
Rakim.
that for me is personal preference. But if we talking about by the book and what a person's done, impact, beginning to end, and all that,
No
he
matter what
has
book
to
you write.
be.
Right.
Yeah,
It don't matter what book you write in
yeah.
hip hop top
Because
10. It
even if
don't
you talk like I like
like
personally like Ice Cube more than KRS, right? But I don't know if I could rank Ice Cube more than over KRS.
Mike, you know who I have at number 9, right?
Cube,
Ice Cube.
yeah,
Right. Right. So I feel the same way you do. I actually prefer Ice Cube listening wise
yeah.
than KRS. But when I'm looking at it and when I really listen to it, it's like, well, no, I listen to KRS-One about as much as I listen to Ice Cube. And KRS-One is the better MC, been here longer, and has more classic material as a group and solo artist, and more classic songs. And so if guys like KRS and Ice Cube are backing up our top 10, and guys like Ghostface and Scarface are in the middle, and Rakim and Jay and Nas and Big and Pac are at the top, you all explain to me how he is top 10, because I said, Mike, he was going to be top 10 based on my projection of what I heard on Damn, and that was me putting him at 10. That was me putting him at 10 based on Damn 5 years ago.
And that was the notion that you would think if you were asked during the time when you wrote that damn article in 2017, how many albums do you think that Kendrick's gonna have, or how much quality material, much more quality material, you think he's gonna have in 2022?
At least
You
two
would have
albums.
said at least 2 or 3 projects.
I would have said 2 albums,
Yeah,
just more respectfully for his process.
yeah,
And so, and also too, and I want people to understand this too, and this is where the branding of it comes into play, and I keep going to the music and the whole classic song thing. I kind of gave reference to it earlier, Mike. I misspoke when we were talking about the Mona Lisa, and I brought up the Orsay Art Gallery instead of the Louvre. You want to know why? Because the Louvre has the name because that's where the Mona Lisa is. The Orsay is the better art gallery to go to in Paris. Sometimes the name isn't everything, Mike. The Orsay is the art gallery to go to in Paris, not the Louvre. I was in the Louvre and I was like, okay, it's a bunch of pictures of Napoleon pretty much, murdering this country off, the Mona Lisa. All right, I'm out. The Orsay is the art gallery's art gallery or an art lover. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of the time, Kendrick gets this Louvre museum branding, and I'm just like, oh no,
well, he's
like
an Interscope artist, you know.
right, like, but the better shit might be, up the street and around the corner with the lesser name.
Listen, this is the thing, man. When it comes to Pusha T's album Friday, we know we're gonna get some rap shit.
Yeah.
And I know people are in the chat saying that, you guys don't know what the Kendrick album's gonna sound like. So, get off the singing stuff. But the thing is, we don't have anything to go on. And honestly, the only thing we have to go on is the title. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but does that sound like a rap album to you guys? There were rumors out there that he was gonna do a rock and roll album.
Let's keep it rapping wise, Mike.
Okay.
Rapping wise, Mike. I just went through 9 MCs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bring up Jadakiss. You feel what I'm saying? I didn't bring up Cool G Rap.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's like, no, like, we're not just handing you anything anymore. We're not handing you nothing because you're a great album maker. Because even with that being said, it's like, well, the reality of the matter is like, I don't know if you're even a better album maker than Scarface or Ghostface. They stayed at this and kept giving us quality material. I don't know if you're even a better album maker than Nas or Jay, because quite frankly, they've released so many projects and they have more great albums. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to put in the work. Like, we can't just hand this to you like you just got this in a landslide. It's like, you're not Rakim or Nas on the mic. You don't make classic songs like Slick Rick. You're not, you get what I'm saying? Like, well, what are you? You're not KRS-One in terms of your longevity or your consistency. You get what I'm saying, Mike? You're not Jadakiss in the verses now, are you? You gonna run
he
like
has
that?
catalog over Jada.
No, Mike. What I'm talking about though is like, that's all he has. We keep going to this. It's like, I don't know if that's enough to get you in the top 10 anymore, fam. Like, because your catalog was what was holding you, and you caused your catalog. That was your weight in the game.
Yeah.
You don't take a big chip off the table.
No, you're right. because it's kind of like Scarface, right? Like Scarface's weight in the game was his consistency in his
Yes,
catalog, and he
yes.
never let up.
And he never let up.
Yeah,
He
no,
never
no,
let
I
up.
agree with that.
He
Because
knew that
the
I'm the
strongest
greatest.
point for Kendrick was his catalog. Because honestly, let's keep it real. Kendrick's feature game ain't that crazy.
No,
No.
like
If we look at what Cole's doing right now on a featured level, he is killing what Kendrick's done feature wise. It could be argued that sometimes when Kendrick gets on a song, it kind of makes it worse. Like I think Goosebumps with Travis.
yeah,
Song's better without him. I remember when he got on the Mask Off remix with Future. It's not good. And these are songs that are already like bangers.
it's not. It's
So
not.
with that being said, though, yeah, his strength is definitely in his catalog, and just like
Right.
Scarface, I think his strength is in his storytelling and his catalog, and I think Kendrick's a very underrated storyteller. He's a great storyteller. But
Okay.
the thing
So
is, he has to
where?
keep those things up
Right.
to keep
So
that.
hold on. So let's stop right there. You brought up Scarface, and this is what I'm saying about how. Well, no, y'all keep talking about the Louvre. Let's talk about the Orsay. Is he a better storyteller than Scarface?
No, I'm
Is
listening to
he?
one of the
Does
chats.
he have a better? Does he have a better voice than Scarface?
No,
Is he more consistent than Scarface?
can't say that with a 5 year break.
Right, Mike. Does he have a better album
But
catalog than Scarface?
he was very consistent before the break.
But we're
Yeah,
talking about reality, not fantasy world about what he could do. We're talking about what he didn't do. So does he have a better catalog than Scarface?
I
But people talk about him like he's greater than Scarface. He's not.
Does he have a better catalog than Scarface? I don't think
No.
so, but I can understand how somebody could come to that conclusion.
Well, Mike,
Just
here's the
based
thing
off of
about
the
it.
because he never missed.
Right, but where Mike Scarface never missed. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's like, well, I got a guy that made like I don't know about 12 or 13 albums that never missed. So fuck your 4 albums that never missed, nigga. Like straight like that. It's like because then when you start elevating, and this is what I mean, you start changing the narrative and putting people like Kendrick over Scarface, and that's not okay. Scarface has Mr. Scarface is back. He has The Diary. He has Untouchable. He has The Fix. He has Made. He has Emeritus. He has Deeply Rooted. He has My Homies. You better stop fucking playing with me. 4 albums. Right. You see what I'm saying? Now you better stop playing with me when Face got a catalog like that. And the catalog is your claim to fame.
It is.
So everybody like keep this energy. I'm gonna keep this energy. He blew this energy. His strength was his album making.
It was. Because, the guys that I got this shirt on for right now, man, Run DMC, where they lacked in quote unquote, lyrical miracle stuff, these guys got bangers. They got songs.
His catalog right
And
now.
not a lot of people got, you know what? We was talking, I think we were talking about duos or whatever, top groups. And I said, like, look, man, if anybody, even some of the groups that we put above Run DMC on the technical level, they're not going to see Run DMC in the verses. That's a group that anybody getting the verses with them is probably not going to happen, but y'all don't want to see Run DMC in the verses.
Mike, I forgot about Last of the Dying Breed. You see how much dope-ass Scarface albums are out here? I have to go remind myself, and I'm a hardcore fan, because all he really does is make dope albums every time. Every single time he comes out since 1991.
Somebody in the chat says, it looks like we're going to be listening to Kendrick's album in bad faith, or it sounds like we're going to be listening to it in bad faith. No, I want it to be great.
Bad faith. It's just like, no, how is he top 10 is what we're really asking. And why are y'all holding it in that such high regard is really what I'm asking.
It's just like how we were talking about Jay-Z in a previous show. I don't see any signs that he's gonna knock it out the park with this, other than the fact that he's been consistent over his time. But you guys tell me, please tell me, any MC in hip hop ever who's taken 5 years off and came back with a banging ass album. Tell me. I mean, if you can show me those examples, and we have decades, I would say 4 decades of this genre on a mainstream level to go through. Tell me anybody who left I guess left us with a project and came back 5 years later and had the game in the palm of their hand.
I don't know game in the palm of their hand, Mike, but I think we might have brought up the last guys to actually do it, depending on the time difference. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, there's a 4.5 year gap between Hard to Earn and Moment of Truth. That's exactly what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, I remember there being some time off between Hard to Earn and Moment of Truth, but it's a 4 year
It's
gap.
4. It's not 5.
It's not, and that's a group where the producer actually during that break went on one of the great
I was
producer.
gonna say it's not the same. Yeah, that's not the same. Because half of that group, and honestly, Guru was doing some Jazzmatazz stuff.
Jazzmatazz is dope.
It
Jazzmatazz
is.
It's banging.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like Jazzmatazz Volume 1. Watch What You Say with Shaka Khan. Yeah.
But hearing nothing, no.
Yeah, we heard nothing.
It's nobody who's done that. So on top of that, and the fact that we haven't heard him featured on much or whatever, and the features that we have heard, it's not like they ringing bells like that. I mean, we're gonna listen to it. I don't love the title of the album, and let me know in the chat if you guys do. I mean, you guys like the title of this album? Y'all like the title, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? That sound like a banging rap album to you guys? I mean, let me know. I'm not trying to be funny or whatever.
I just want to ask some questions too. I just want to be clear. Is he better than Nas?
No.
Rakim?
No.
Jay-Z?
No.
Biggie?
No. Well, but see, Biggie's such a different thing.
I'm asking, it's yes or no, Mike. It's yes or no.
Listen, I'll say this. I'm going to be fair. I don't know. When it comes to Biggie, I think I like Biggie better. I think Biggie's more skilled and all that, but we talk about 2 albums versus what Kendrick's done in his career. Obviously, Biggie's individual songs trump Kendrick's individual songs.
Mike,
I'm gonna say Biggie is. I'm gonna say Biggie
might have more classic material that isn't on either 2 of his solo albums than this guy has made in his career. Do you understand that?
No, I agree with you. I mean,
there's no talking about him being better when we can talk about a guy having more classic material without talking about the 2 brief albums that he made. You're not better. Is he better than Scarface?
I don't think so.
Is he better than Tupac?
I don't think so.
Is he better than Ghostface?
Me personally, I don't think so. But I'm trying to be objective here. Like if we talk about
where. If he is, where? Is he a better storyteller? Is he a better lyricist? Is he a better album maker? No.
He might be a better album maker, maybe.
Mike, I mean, how about this? It's like I would.
But if we're giving Ghost half of the purple tape, no.
Mike, if we're giving Ghost half of the purple tape, this isn't the conversation.
No, you're right.
But I'll tell you this: I'll listen to Iron Man and Supreme Clientele. Mike, Bulletproof Wallets, Iron Man, Supreme Clientele, and Fish Scale is just as good as Kendrick's 4-album run.
You know how I feel about To Pimp a Butterfly. And I say it all the time. When I first heard To Pimp a Butterfly, I didn't listen to anything that anybody on social media said. I got halfway through that album. I was like, this is the best hip-hop album I heard since Supreme Clientele. So that's how...
Supreme Clientele, is it, though? But it's not Supreme Clientele, is it? Has it held up like Supreme Clientele?
It ain't Supreme Clientele to me.
It ain't Supreme Clientele. All right, so Ghost.
But I don't know if I'm being biased. I'm trying to be,
Mike, I don't know anybody that walks around and says To Pimp a Butterfly is better than Supreme Clientele.
Jordan House says Ghost got Kendrick off of Supreme Clientele alone. So, yeah.
Hello and good night. This is the guy that's the co-author of the Purple Tape 1 and 2, Iron Man, Bulletproof Wallet, Supreme Clientele, and Fish Scale.
And he was on Wu-Tang Forever and Into the 36.
Into the Wu-Tang. So. Yeah, that's him on Can It All Be So Simple. That was a single off Into the Wu-Tang.
So let's look at it like this.
No, Mike,
if Ghostface and Kendrick sit across from each other in a versus type format and they go on record for record, I think Ghostface wins that.
Ghost is winning. And Mike, and now KRS One.
Nah.
We just named 9 MCs. Hello?
But see, people keep saying compare Kendrick to people now, but I get that.
No, I thought he was all-time
but
great.
People are saying all time, so we're bringing in all the guys,
No, I thought he's all-time.
Because when we talk about Steph, we talk about Steph Curry, we start talking about Magic, talk about Isaiah,
Right.
I mean, it's
Right.
only fair.
Hey, so that when they talk about Steph now, they go straight Magic, Stockton, Zeke.
Listen, man,
Mm.
that's disrespectful, but whatever. Because this nigga needs to win a Finals MVP for any of those talks. You got
I mean,
zero. You got 5 Finals appearances and 0 Finals MVPs. You're not in the same room.
I know that he's ahead of CP3, but I would still take CP3.
He's more he's a better shooter than CP3. But yeah, what
Hold
CP3
on.
is doing right now at his age for this squad, it's unheard of.
Mike, if you actually want to talk as far as shooting the ball as a point guard, in the history of this sport, the only guys that probably have been better shooters than Chris Paul at the point guard position are Steph Curry and Steve Nash. Everybody else, it may be Isaiah Thomas. I'll take Isaiah.
You think Isaiah's a better shooter than CP3?
Not really. That's why I'm saying just in the clutch. And I don't even know that because CP's been like spazzing in the clutch lately the last couple of years.
I think that the jump shot is, long range jumpers are a lot more important now than they were in that era. I think John Stockton might have been a better shooter than CP.
He's not. He's not. He's not a better mid range guy. He couldn't create his shot the way CP3 could.
I can get what I'm saying.
Right. So he's probably the third or fourth best shooting point guard of all time. He's top 2 or 3 at distributing the ball because I think the only better distributors of the ball at the point guard position are Magic and Stockton, maybe Kidd. So he's top 3 or 4 at almost everything. So
I think Kyrie and Dame are better shooters too. I mean, Mad Max said that. I agree with that. I think just from a jump shot standpoint, long range shot standpoint, I think Kyrie and Dame are better shooters.
Kyrie and Dame be having games where they be going 9 for 27 and shit. CP3 don't do that. No, they're not.
I mean, CP3 doesn't have a 3-point.
No, he's a better.
He doesn't have like a 3-point contest title. He doesn't. And Dame and Kyrie do.
I'll give them that. They're better distance shooters. But Mike, I bet you if you go pull up the stats, he's a better 3-point shooter for his career percentage wise than both of them. I bet you.
Well, I'm sure that the numbers of shots are different too, but I'm sure it's probably comparable. I don't think he's that much better.
But the main thing usually you look at when talking about shooting is shooting percentage. So,
we'll come back with the next show with those stats. But yeah, I'm taking Dame and Kyrie as a shooter over CP. But when you talk about being a point guard and doing everything that a point guard does, yeah, I'm with it. I think that Chris is incredible.
No, you're talking about a shot like to win the game. I'm talking about just like shooting the ball regular throughout the game. Like Dame and Kyrie do shit and have games like CP3 never has because he's not ill with the ball. He's a point guard.
Okay.
Oh, God.
How did we get on that tangent?
No idea how we got to CP3.
Not sure. We were talking about
Kendrick top 10-ish is kind of where we were, and we were kind of
that's where we were.
We were at KRS-One, and so we were 9 MCs deep, and he definitely doesn't deserve to be ahead of them. And so the best that he can hope for is 10. Is that kind of where we're at? Because do you think he's better than Redman?
I think that
he's better than Black Thought.
Listen, man, I think that on an all-time list, I think that based on what he's done in his career, yeah, we probably have to put him above Redman and Black Thought.
Are you sure about that, though?
Yeah, I'm sure about that.
Okay.
But listen, now ask me if I think that Black Thought's a better rapper than him. Yes, I do. But if we actually take everything in totality, it'd be very hard for me to say that I'm putting Black Thought ahead of him. And I know Black Thought's the author of those Roots albums.
Right.
But
so he's putting Jadakiss?
I'm putting him above Jadakiss because of the albums. But see, again, I hold albums very high.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like the albums is all you're holding high, then it's like we're freezing a lot of people out.
Because this is the thing, and we got to be real about this. Not a lot of people, as talented as they are, and we talked about this when we were talking about Crooked Eye, not a lot of people have been able to culminate, albums to this level 4 or 5 times. I'm just going to say 4. We're going to say Section 80,
yes,
Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn.
Yes.
And we got to be fair. As much as I love Jadakiss and how incredible I think his longevity and his feature game is, he hasn't been able to come with 4 albums like those. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that they're untouchable from one another. I will say this: if this Mr. Morals and the Big Steppers is what I think it's gonna end up being, I might have to end up putting Jada ahead of him.
Okay. So you got Jada ahead of Thought. Where's Pusha T fit in all of those?
I don't actually,
Right.
because my
Right.
thing is I think Thought's a better songwriter than Jada.
He is. He wrote "Break You Off" and "You Got Me"
Yeah,
and "Hypnotic." Like, yeah, he's written
and
hit.
I'll never do what they do, and
Yeah, so that's why I was
yeah,
like, when you put Kendrick ahead of him, I'm thinking like, does Kendrick have a "You Got Me," a "What They Do," a "Break You Off," a "Hypnotic"? Like, Thought's written some hits too.
he has.
Yeah, so are you sure that he's better? Because also too, this is what I keep trying to tell you. It's like, oh no, Thought got that root shit. It's like, no, Do You Want More is a classic. Illadelph Half-Life is a classic. Do You Want More is a dope album. Phrenology is a dope album. The Tipping Point is a dope ass album. Like, Thought also has his freestyle and mixtape game. Thought also has done 2 dope solo EPs. It's like, are you sure Kendrick is better? Because if the catalog is the only thing that you have to go off of, and everything about the other MC says he's better, how is that guy better?
Love Me More Meticulous says, Mike, you're thinking too hard. And she might be right. You may be right.
Like, if you, that's what I keep. That it's kind of one of those things. I'm a big fan of the eye test, and I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. Quick football analogy. It's like, oh, I know Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of all time, based on the totality of all things. Okay. If I'm on the field, I happen to think Randy Moss is the second greatest wide receiver of all time. If we walk out onto a football field and you get the first pick of wide receivers and you take Jerry Rice and you don't take Randy Moss, I'm about to have a day on your ass. You feel me? Because the totality of things make Jerry better. But it's like when you really look at it, it's like, well, is Jerry 6'4"? No. Jerry run 4'2"? No. Jerry got hands like an alien? No. Jerry got a 40-inch vertical? No. Give me that guy. And all I'm saying is that he don't check all those boxes like that. He's more like Jerry Rice to you guys. But what I'm trying to tell y'all is that, well, he's not even Jerry Rice because we got guys like Nas, Scarface, Ghostface, Jay-Z that have even outdone him at that.
Yeah,
So he's
and that's
great
true.
at that. So he's more like, and listen to what I'm about to say, he's more like Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp, when he played, all-time great, could put him next to any guy. Could put him next to Michael Irvin or Jerry Rice any day. For when he was playing, a neck injury robbed him of his career, so he only really played about 5 prime years, 7 years total. But in his prime for 5 years, he was as good as, if not better than Jerry Rice even some of those years. He actually set the single-season touchdown catches and receiving records like in different years. First-team All-Pro. Even was beating Michael Irvin out for All-Pros. That's when he was playing. Jerry Rice ended up being the greatest receiver of all time because he kept on playing.
Longevity goes a long way.
You have to play this game. Even Randy Moss. Randy Moss is second all-time in touchdown catches at 153, but Randy played about 14, 15 years. Two people forget that. He had about 10 seasons where he caught over 10 touchdowns.
Jay Short with the super chat says Kendrick passed on the Black Hippies album. Goats don't duck their crew or label mates. Woo! You know what? You guys are bringing Kendrick down to earth for me right now. Because what I'm saying, what I'm seeing, and what I'm thinking, based on everything you're saying, and me thinking again, over analyzing, I'm taking a lot of points off for this 5-year break during the time that it is. This is not a five. This isn't a 5-year break from 06 to 2011. This is a 5-year break while things are really popping in hip hop. Like, you would think that would be a rapper's dream. Anybody who was influenced by hip hop and all the rapidy rap stuff and the way that Kendrick puts together his projects, you would think what has happened in hip hop, this resurgence of lyricists and lyricism from 2018 to now, would be your dream. This would be where you thrive.
Can I tell you how special he really is and how he's really blown a special opportunity? And here's how special this opportunity is and how fleeting they come.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first guy that I've seen since Jada Kiss that was literally set up and put in position to be a top 5 all-time MC and be in the argument to be the greatest MC of all time. That's how legit his claim was. Like, these guys that I have ahead of him, he was supposed to pass them in these last 5 years, Mike. He's supposed to be ahead of Ghost right now. He's supposed to be ahead of Scarface. He's supposed to be creeping into a territory right now where we're saying that it's like, well, no, he might be better than Jay. He might be better than Nas. He might be better than Big. And we have legitimate claim to the fact, and we don't. But people keep talking about it like it happened. It didn't happen. It happened where he paused somewhere in that 10 to 15 realm. And guys in that same realm have gotten better and their legend has grown. That's why I brought up Redman. The legend of Muddy Waters has grown more.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if Muddy Waters is. I don't know if Kendrick has an album better than Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters has held up remarkably.
Muddy Waters is insane. Jay Short says, if Nas can make a Braveheart album and Biggie can make a Junior Mafia album, hey, I mean, shit, not only did he make the Braveheart album, didn't he do the Queensbridge album? We think about the same one?
He did the Firm, the QB album. Biggie did the Junior Mafia album. Jay did the Dynasty album and put For the Fam. For the Fam is one of the best beats ever, one of the best posse cuts ever. He put that on a Mills album.
Yeah. You like For the Fam like that? I never heard you say that about For the Fam.
Oh, For the Fam? Late night, club night, track.
Yeah.
Late Mac and truck. I pulled up Cadillac, truck, nice. 2 guns. You know, Mac Pack Gat twice.
You got Once Again It's On a State Property album.
Get that crack back with that ice, no joke with the coke. I whips that. Yeah, they going in on that. Niggas snapping on there. We them niggas be in your crib just like furniture.
Yo. Because you was talking about Scarface earlier. Scarface feature game is crazy.
Stupid, nasty.
Everywhere. He's everywhere. Misses. He's worked with everybody.
Never misses when he steps in.
Yeah.
Never misses when he steps in the batter's box.
But on an all-time list, that's what Kendrick's going up against. And it doesn't really shape up.
Right.
Because like you said, the strongest thing he has is his catalog album for album. Not even catalog song for song, per se.
Yeah, and you're not even Face, as in Scar or Ghost. Right. Hold on. How do you think this is Scarface with Jay and Nas in their prime, trading bars with them, favor for a favor? Guess who's back? This can't be life. We got any? Where the evidence at? Who we got Kendrick trading bars with at that level in his prime?
This is what Pusha T on nostalgia, I guess.
That's it. That's why it's one of his best 10 verses. A lot of that has to do with the competition level. He doesn't have the best verse on Control. Jay Electronica has the best verse on Control. We're going to keep on saying that.
So this is what I've always thought, right? I think there's 2 ways to make classic albums, great albums. You make it the Thriller way, or you make it the way that Kendrick normally makes it, where it's like everything flows together. You either make it where,
What you mean make it the Thriller way? What you mean?
Where you just got every song on there as a hit. Or you make it...
Rappers can't do that.
Well, you know what I mean. You know, I guess the best way to say it in a rapper standpoint.
Doggy style?
Exactly.
Right.
Or Great Adventures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you either make it in that way where you just got so many songs on there, undeniable. I think Jay did that with Volume 2 also. Where it's like, it's so many songs on there that hit. It's like, people are, this is a classic. You got Jigga What on there. You got Can I Get a What on there. You got Money Ain't a Thing on there. Huh?
No, it vibes like that for the time.
That's what I'm saying. When it came out, it was like, oh shit, all these songs is on the radio. It's a classic.
Yeah, bangers.
Right. You got bangers on, you know what I'm saying, the whole album. Everything that was on Volume 2 was damn near on the radio. You know what I mean? And so you could either make a classic like that, and I guess it's the best correlation because they came out the same day, Or you can make one like a Kumina where everything just flows together. And then you got some, you know what I'm saying, some hit songs in that mix as well. Kendrick
So
needs an album that is done in the way of a volume 2 right now. Because we're saying that's what he lacks, right? He's done the conceptual thing. He's done it where the albums flow and it's been called a classic in that way. I think the closest he's done to that, in my personal opinion, was Damn. Was he had loyalty, he had um he got not DOA, you know what I'm talking about, DNA. He had
DNA.
Humble, Loyalty, and DNA. I think that's the strongest single run he's had on his albums.
I told you his best mic performance is actually Damn. DNA is one of his best verses. That first verse on DNA,
Yeah.
one of his best performances. The verse on Element, one of his best verses. The verses on Feel, some of his best stuff. The back and forth with Riri, some of his most versatile stuff. His mic performance on Damn is epic, Mike. That's why I felt comfortable. It was like, nah, we might need to slide this guy at 10 and see what happens. And what happened was nothing. But back to the Scarface thing, and I'm serious, what happened was nothing. But this is what I mean about going to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa. It's like, oh, but he made To Pimp a Butterfly, Coop. I'm like, yeah, Scarface made Mr. Scarface's back. And he made The Diary and Untouchable and that's how I felt when I went to the Orsay. It's like, why everybody keep talking about the Louvre and this one painting in here when if you go in here, all this other classic shit sitting around here that ain't nobody talking about. It's like, why are we doing that? It's like, no.
Hudson says that Kendrick's not a single artist. And see, that's a problem.
And let me say this.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He doesn't have an album better than The Diary. None of this shit is better than The Diary. Niggas don't be walking around saying that this shit's better than The Diary. I wish somebody would say these albums.
You don't think Good Kid, Mad City's better than The Diary?
No.
I think that the generations are so separated on that. Then it's gonna be one of those things where people who are close to The Diary are gonna say The Diary, and people who are close to Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly are gonna say those records, and I think that's fine.
I can understand that, and I respect the Good Kid, Mad City thing. Like, if you feel like Good Kid, Mad City is better, then I'm gonna sit up there and that's debatable. But I'm picking The Diary. But I think it's debatable. Like, ain't no Hand of the Dead Body or Never Seen a Man Die going down on fucking Good Kid, Mad City. But okay.
People are Never Seen a Man Die is a whole other level, in my opinion.
Ain't no G's on Good Kid, Mad City. Now, when you roll it through your motherfucking hood, tell me what you.
I think you're close to the album, and that's fine. But I think just as close as you are to Scarface's discography, I think that people who came up on Kendrick's are going to be as close to that. Now, what I will say though, is the fact that Scarface kept going, and that break that Kendrick took has separated him from that Scarface conversation, because the strength in both of those guys is their consistency. And Hudson says that Kendrick's not a single artist. Well, Scarface wasn't either.
Scarface.
And so that's where that separation comes in at, is the fact, okay, you're not a single artist, but we expect you to continuously come with these conceptual albums on a consistent basis. And when you don't do that, you're not going to be matched up with this guy who did that 11 times. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's like, and this is what I mean about how you can't really change the narrative. And I hate to like kind of pit Kendrick against Face, because it's not fair to him, but it's the fairest comp, because Face is probably the highest guy up on that stratosphere because of the album work. Okay.
And so who's not really a single artist.
Or considered to be this supreme lyricist. It's like he says on the Fix, I survived the game of life, nigga, fuck some skills. He says that. So that's his ethos. And so that's what you're going to get from Face. So it's not about being lyrical, okay? It's not about the singles. It's about the quality and the depth of what the man says, much like Kendrick, and the ability to put an album together, much like Kendrick. Well, how can y'all sit up here and revere him for these things, but y'all don't talk about Face this way, when Face has literally done this 4 or 5 times more than this guy?
I know why. Because from a technical standpoint, Kendrick is a better rapidy rap rapper, and I think it's in your face, and I think that's why, people like Face and Ice Cube to a certain degree don't get considered with certain, people who handle their lyricism in a different way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they even do that to Tupac. I think some. I,
Yes.
I remember seeing a tweet out there that someone said that I think it was Damian Lillard said that he loves Tupac, but Kendrick's a better rapper than Tupac or lyricist or something. I don't want to misquote him, but it was based on those notions of using a lot of words. You know what
Yes.
I
Like,
mean?
is he a better lyricist than Tupac? It's like, well, yes. Now tell me what else he's better at.
But see, again, we get into this back and forth even when we're doing the
No,
rating
no, no, no.
system.
When people say that, Mike, they're speaking. This is what I'm
But I
saying.
don't even agree with that. I don't
No,
agree
they're
with the fact that because you use a bunch of words that makes you a better lyricist. Like I feel like Tupac said more with less than a lot of these guys who go on, all of these big, run-on sentences basically. And I'm not talking about Kendrick. I'm just saying in general. You know what I mean?
no, you're a big believer that you don't have to use your verbiage, your vernacular doesn't have to be like high end in terms of multi-syllabic words
Yeah.
or in terms of conjecture in order for it to be lyrical for how you consider it. Because for you, Tupac saying something. I remember Marvin Gaye used to saying to me, he had me feeling like black was the thing to be. That might lyrically make you feel something that all that lyrical miracle stuff will never ever do in life.
Yeah. Or,
Right.
I blame my
Right.
mama for turning my brother into a crack baby and stuff like that. Like
Ooh,
that
yeah.
all that other stuff is like, okay, that's cool, but
See,
what's real lyricism?
Okay, so Mike, can I tell you, I lean on this. What you're talking about to me is more songwriting than lyricism. And that's why I have Pac so high, because I don't know if we have a better songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's more songwriting than lyrical ability. What I tell people is
But
like,
you have to have lyrical ability for songwriting too.
no. And this is what I say is that because Pac is classically trained and more of a poet than a writer, truthfully, and in his heart and in his ethos than an MC, what you have is the supreme songwriting ability coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But competitively, Mike, what you'll find is that when he has to rap and he rap, oh no, he'll rap. Go listen to America's Most Wanted with Snoop Dogg. Picture perfect. I paint a perfect picture. Bomb hoochies with precision. My intention to get with you with the S and double OP. Dog, my fucking home. No, he rapping different, Mike. He
did that on My Made Up too. Shout out to Jay Short with the super chat. He said today's rap is like the NBA in the 70s. Uneven era. We got what is this? Zumel 28. The super chat, appreciate you. He says, according to chart data, Damn sold 6 million in the U.S. He went on the Damn tour and made 75 million. Every song on that album is certified platinum.
Okay, we're in a different era, and like I get that. Like
he gonna do numbers.
No, I'm not talking about the numbers. Like
you just talking about songs and the legs of those songs.
Right. That's why I brought up classic songs. It's like I don't judge us whether a song is classic or not by how much it moves. It's about how much it moves this culture. It's about how it moves our people.
We just saw, and I'm gonna repeat this. We just saw Eminem get 700 million streams, excuse me, for a song that doesn't do anything for the culture, doesn't shift anything. And you guys never even heard the song.
Right. Like, I mean, how about this? Let's talk about the most important song, arguably, in this culture's history. Fight the Power. How many streams or units has it sold? Is it the biggest selling rap song of all time? Because it's damn sure the most important.
I mean, it's one of them. What about the message?
It's the most important.
I think the message might be the most important, but
no.
I feel
it's the most important song because the ethos of our culture is in the title of that record. Fight.
Well, you know how I feel about PE. I think Fight the Power could be, if we're ranking the best hip hop songs of all time, I'm okay with Fight the Power or The Message being number one.
Fight the Power is number one to me. Like, The Message is a top 5, top 10 song to me. I don't hold it like it's ahead of its time, but Fight the Power is just that's it for me. That's it for this culture.
I mean, Elvis was a hero the most, but he never meant shit to me. Straight up racist. Simple and plain.
And fuck him. And like Mike being a black kid and hearing black men talk like that on TV, it was like we can
Most of
talk like
my heroes in the Piro no stamp.
that.
It's the production too, man. That PE shit was madness, man. And
No,
then
you want
the
to what?
message, the delivery, Flav, it was
Yeah.
just all
I mean,
worlds colliding, man.
Mike, they got me into Farrakhan. Like, I almost joined like the Nation of Islam. They got me to read the Quran. Like, I'm raised Baptist Christian. Like,
Yeah.
that was how strong that. Yeah, the
You know,
autobiography of X, like
what
all that.
PE was an action. You know what I'm saying? It's like you hear that music, you hear that message, you hear that delivery, excuse me, and it's take action music.
Well, also too, Mike. This is what I mean.
It doesn't even compare to that Kendrick all right stuff. And again,
Right.
I don't
This
want
is
to
what,
be funny or anything. That's passive. That's
that's not
that's
this.
passive protest. We gonna be all right type stuff. And again, I'm not dissing it or anything. And again, that's Pharrell. That's kind of his personality anyway. But everybody has their own approach. That doesn't that doesn't even compare to a
No.
fight the power, bring the noise, or welcome to the Terror Dome,
Night of the
or
Living Baseheads.
yeah, man,
Can't trust.
Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos.
Double without a pause.
Yeah, man, that's
Come
different
on.
stuff.
Come on. So
You
stop
want to
making
talk
it
about some mid? Yeah.
right. No. You want to talk about evolutionary? Like that's why I was like, it's like, hold on. Like it's not. It's got the revolutionary components of that PE shit. It's not that PE shit. It's got the component. I even wrote that in the article. It's like, no, this album was To Pimp a Butterfly was comprised with It Takes a Nation of Millions in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say it was that. It's not that. It's not that.
XML says we were saying that he needed hits though. It's different. The numbers and hits are different things. And I know you just alluded to that. I just want to, point that out because, they said that in the super chat again. It's different when you're talking about what numbers something did. Again, Eminem's River has done 700 million streams. We don't need Kendrick to make 12 songs like Eminem's River. He needs some songs that's going to shake up the game.
No, I'm not even that. Okay, so let's go through. I mean, name an all-time great rapper, Mike, who he like would be considered comparable to. That's before him, and I'm going to show you what. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with.
Let's just say Jay-Z, because Jay-Z, by many people's estimation, king of rap, right? For people who wanted it like that.
Right. So you understand this is a man that, first of all, he arguably has, Mike, he has at least 2 albums, maybe 3 albums better than Kendrick's best work. Okay?
Ooh, ho. We'll get into that a little bit. I want to get this super chat because I want to unpack that. LP says he never seen a John Wayne movie or listened to a full Elvis song in his life. Okay. You're saying that, huh?
What's he saying?
No, he was talking about the motherfucking man John Wayne thing.
What was he saying though? Because I think
no, he said he never watched the John Wayne movie or heard an Elvis song in his life.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm 40 years old and I'm from the South, so on TBS, guess what they used to play all the time?
John Wayne. Yeah.
And Elvis movies.
Now I used to watch those Elvis movies. My dad used to. Me and my dad used to watch those.
Right, when the Elvis movies would be coming on, my mom would be like, "Ooh, Elvis, I love Elvis." I'd be like, "Mom,
Elvis was a fucking star."
And that's exactly what she said. She was like, "That was the first sexy white boy we had a crush on." I was like, "Oh."
I would say, in the way that pop stardom is today in the modern era, Elvis is the first. Now, Frank Sinatra was the first pop star by, just any type of standard. But by the modern day standard of what a pop star is, you're looking at like these boy bands or whatever, Elvis is the first of that.
No, Elvis was Bieber. He was Bieber first.
In the 50s.
Yeah, in the 50s, yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that Jay-Z got 3 albums better than Kendrick's best album?
At least two. I said two, maybe three, depending on how you feel about the Black Album. Because Reasonable Doubt and The Blueprint is better than anything Kendrick's ever done. And let's not get into Jay-Z, the hitmaker. That's what I'm saying. Is it's like, what conversation you inserting him into? He's not Jay. And y'all know how I've criticized Jay on here. He's not Jay. Like, stop that. You don't have Reasonable Doubt.
Is To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid, Mad City better than Reasonable Doubt or The Blueprint?
No.
I'm going to tell you this.
You have no evidence. Where's the evidence?
No. I'm going to tell you this. No, I'm going to tell you this.
I'm about to take
I personally would rather listen. Now, I personally would rather listen to Reasonable Doubt or The Blueprint over all those albums. But I don't know if it's clear cut that most people would. I think that could be generational too. What do you guys think in the chat? Do y'all think that Good Kid, Mad City is better than The Blueprint?
This is why I bring up classics.
Okay.
Listen to this.
Heart of the City.
No. Let's start at Reasonable Doubt. Can't Knock the Hustle. Classic. Politics as Usual. Classic. Brooklyn's Finest. Classic. Dead Presidents. Classic. Feeling It. Classic. The Evils. Classic. 22 Twos. Classic. Can I Live? Classic. Mike, I didn't skip any songs. He just made more classic records. He just made more classic records on his magnum opus in the first 8 songs than there are on Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly. What are we talking about? There aren't 8 classic songs on Good Kid, Mad City. There are not 8 classic songs on To Pimp a Butterfly. That is a fact.
People in the chat are agreeing with you. You know what? Y'all saying I'm bugging? I'm not bugging. I was just trying to be balanced. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping.
So let's get back to this again. The guy that's trying to murder all you niggas when he steps on the mic and that's smoking on top 5s, it's like, well, what top 5 are you talking about? If you're talking about top 5 for your era, well, yeah, maybe. But that's about the only top 5 you smoking on. You're not smoking on the top 5 from this era. You're not smoking on the top 5 of all time. You need to be happy that after 5 years, we having this motherfucking conversation about your ass.
But that, you know what? At the end of the day, the fact that he's been gone for 5 years and people are this open and ready to hear new music from him, that speaks to what he's done over his career, which is great. But this is the thing. This is the thing. Y'all are going to hype this project up and get disappointed.
How about this? You want to know why everybody's so hyped? And we're just going to address it again because you and I have addressed it. Well, Mike, he came along in a weak climate. That's why I told you. It's like, no, we need to see him come outside and operate and talk. We need him to keep that same energy that he's been keeping when he was considered to be the best MC of the game right now while there's viable conversation and competition from all eras.
This needs to be the most rapping album that he's ever made. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it like that. I'm not going to sit here and accuse him of singing and this and that, but this needs to be the most rapping album that he ever made. He don't need to go out there and do what he did on that Jeezy feature with J. Cole. We don't need none of that stuff. We don't need all that, I want to press my line, yeah. We don't need that stuff. No. This needs to be the most rapping shit that he's ever made because all that top whatever is based on your rapping skills. And this is the things that we had to unpack with Andre 3000. You're a great artist. You're a very talented person. But when it comes to where your place is in the game, it's based on your rapping skills. Not your guitar playing, not your singing, not your writing or producing for others. It's rapping skills. And so we need you to rap on this effort. And if you don't, then there's a lot of other people who are.
I mean, no, I'm just going to keep on sliding them down because that's why I mean, it's like, well, I had you at 10 when you made Damn. Look at what Pusha T's done since then.
This is real.
Look at what Kiss has done since then. Look at what Black Thought has done since then. Even Redman's BET Cypher performance was since then, Mike. Even the Cypher performance has happened since then.
It's been a lot. Mad Max with the super chat of $20, man. We appreciate you, Mad Max. Let me see what he got to say right here. He says, does Kendrick have an album better than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy from Kanye?
No.
I like A$AP Rocky's second album more than To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City. Only classic because it has great songs and 90s feel with the skits. But it has a lot of that chill sound. That's an interesting point because You know, Mad Max looks a little younger. How old are you, Mad Max? I want to know. But he said something about ASAP's album being better than Good Kid, Mad City to him. ASAP made a mark on this generation. And
ASAP made a
so for
more.
people to think that some of those efforts are better than some of the Kendrick efforts, that's not a crazy thought.
Hold on, you talking about Long Live ASAP?
I think so.
Yeah, Long Live ASAP is the shit, Mike.
And it got hits.
That's one
They
of
aged
Mike.
pretty well too.
That was a time when I was out of love with rap. That was one of those few albums I was like, oh no, but yep, that guy.
LP with the super chat, man. He said, "Can y'all blame them though? Y'all did the same. Maybe that's his impact. Great at first, but doesn't last over time. And that's fine. But you know what I'm saying? You can have and I say this respectfully, you can have a Tracy McGrady type of career.
Yeah.
But you got to be put in context.
Hold on. Did Tracy McGrady make the top 75 team though?
He did not. But he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And so that's what I mean. It's like, well, when I start looking at certain stuff, well, let's just go to somebody like, and I'm going to say this again, Jada Kiss. It's like, well, do you have a better catalog than Jada Kiss? Well, that's not a fucking question. Show me what else you have that deserves to be ahead of him. Because if that's it, you don't have a better voice. No. Are you a better lyricist? No. Do you have better verses? No. Have you been part of more classic songs than him? No. Are you considered to even be more important to the fabric of this culture than him? No.
Kendrick falling short on features is a big dent in his armor. Outside of this break. Mad Max with another super chat. He says, like to me, Kendrick is a watered down Lupe who has more accessible to the mainstream, or like another Common with more flair. I'm taking Cole over Kendrick, but that's just me. I'm 26 years old, born in 1996. Okay.
Ooh,
it's a really good take.
I've got some perspective, Mike. Hold on. How about this? Here's the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I got somebody who's a top 20 MC that some people have in their top 5, some people have in their top 10, but how his career has been going the last few years has been sliding. Is Kendrick Lamar better than Common? And if so, how?
No, I don't. I can't make that argument. Jay Short, I want to get into that real quick. Jay Short says, don't forget that this is his first album as his own boss. Okay. I think that gives him more freedom. Okay, as far as Common goes.
What does that have to do with anything?
I guess I feel like he's always had artistic freedom. But
they've given this man full artistic and creative freedom and let him do whatever the fuck he wants from the jump. Let's not get that twisted. Like they've been like, Kendrick, you got to make a record like that. Because I think the first and the last time we saw that was Poetic Justice on Good Kid, Mad City. And we haven't seen nothing like that since. He's got full creative license. I don't want to hear that.
I think Kendrick is a better, again, word salad rapper, for lack of a better term, than Common. Where he's going to do a whole bunch of run-on sentences and you hear it and you hear Common and you'll be like, okay, well, he can rap better than him. But when it comes to actually putting together albums and songs, I can't say that he's ahead of Common. Now, you said that about the Blueprint. And you know how I feel about B. I think B's better than the Blueprint. So if that's the case, Kendrick doesn't have a better album than B.
So hold on. This is what I mean about how it gets dangerous. It gets real dangerous when you start leaning on your catalog for your greatness. So here's what I'll submit to you. And other people have said this before, and we actually even have had some discussion and debate about it. I told you it's like, well, I like Common and Game catalog better than Kendrick catalog. And about the Game stuff, people said I was tripping, but almost everybody was with me on the Common stuff. So let's unpack it right quick. Resurrection. One day it'll all make sense. Like Water for Chocolate. B. Finding Forever. Those are 5 stellar albums.
Yeah. Blue Collar Hustler says Common is top 5. Don't ever disrespect.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how is this guy smoking on top 5s when he's not even Common? And Common, more realistically, is a 10 to 20 rapper.
I think with Common's catalog, I have to say Common's a 10 to 15. But see, the only thing that Common is missing is something that Kendrick doesn't really have either. It's just those songs where it just, like you said, just took over a certain era.
But Mike, he even has that over Kendrick
with the
because
corner,
he has the corner, he has
the
the
food.
light. Like the light is getting played forever, Mike. You understand that?
Yeah, it is.
That is going to get played forever.
The food
Mike,
was a moment, man. That Dave Chappelle performance.
Mike, I've heard the light played on the Quiet Storm before. Do you understand what I'm saying when I'm saying that record's getting played forever? They played the light on the Quiet Storm.
I used to love us getting played forever too.
I used to love us getting played forever.
I mean, Brown Sugar was pretty much made around that song. The movie.
Mike, Love of My Life is getting played forever too. I hear that shit every time I turn on an old school hip hop and R&B station.
No
every
shit.
time, without fail.
Common has a great catalog, man.
Hold on, Mike. He got even some of the subsidiary stuff like "Come Close" with Mary J. Blige.
It's a beautiful song.
All Night with Erykah Badu off One Day It'll All Make Sense. It's like Kendrick has All Right.
I mean, Common's done better songs than that, and I like All Right a lot.
And we're not even getting into Common's, like, for me, forte, which is like he does a lot of what Nas does well, that street reporter rhetoric. He's like really not a reporter of it. He's more like it's like he says on Inhale Magic and Breathe Wonder. That's his style. On Invocation, he says, I inhale magic and breathe wonder. Common inhales his environment and he exhales like a beautiful song out of it. Kendrick does a lot of the same thing. Have you even done it to the level that Com's done it? Why are we talking about you?
Because we're not even talking about the Sixth Sense. I hear Go a lot too. You know,
we just got done talking about the stuff that's on Finding Forever. That was Mike. That's at the tail end of his prime. Kendrick doesn't even have some of that stuff in his prime that Common was doing at the tail end of his prime.
Yo, one of my favorite Common appearances is on 1999. Like, ooh. Yo, man, that's what I like when he raps like that more than anything. Now, obviously, I like B for what it is, but as far as like his style, where he was like writing for freedom, fighting for freedom, the record company niggas I don't like when I see him, my ancestors when I write and I see him and talk with him, hoping in the promised land I will walk with him, shitted on so many rappers like I'm in a stall with him. Yo, he was going crazy on that song.
Mike, I'm gonna tell you how real that is. That's sitting in a CD case over in the cubby hole of the basement in my second CD case. So I have a case with all of my CDs that I love, and then there's the case of the CDs that I used to think that I loved and I don't. And then there's a CD case with all my mixtape and single stuff. I bought the 1999 single off that first. It's still sitting over there.
Shit is crazy.
Shit is crazy.
Yeah. After quoting that, man, and I love Kendrick. It's not better than Common. But again, I hope with this new album, we get some dope ass rap shit to be able to compare more with.
Hold on. Let's keep going. Let's stay in the realm. Chuck D, is he better than Chuck D, Mike?
Listen, man, I don't even put Chuck D in debates. I don't even like nobody's better. I can't say anybody's better than Chuck.
We're talking about this guy's rhetoric and his catalog. Yeah. It's like, well, his catalog not fucking with P's first two albums, and your rhetoric's not fucking with Chuck. So
yeah, I mean, obviously on a skill level, you know, I think like this is relevant. Here's another NBA analogy, right? Somebody said, I forgot who said it. It was a post that I saw where they were saying that Kyrie and Durant are the most skilled players, two skilled players to ever play together. And they were saying more than LeBron and Wade and Jordan and Pippen. And LeBron and Wade agreed with it and said, you know, yeah, they some real skilled guys. When you start putting in stuff like that, things get foggy. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think we start using that when we talk about people like Eminem and even Kendrick. It's like, yeah, he's more skilled than Chuck. But what does that mean? Do fundamentals not require skill? Exactly.
The first thing that I thought about when they said that, it was like, actually, for the era that we've seen, in terms of the skill set, probably not. And that's just honestly because Pippen is somebody that's not as skilled as those guys, okay? He made himself into that. A lot of that is defending Michael Jordan in practice every day and listening to Mike talk shit for about 2 or 3 years before you get to that level.
It's got to be difficult guarding Michael Jordan in practice every day.
Right.
That's going to make you a better defender.
Period. Well, that's what I tell people. The best one-on-one defender of all time is Scottie Pippen. And if you want to know why, it's like, well, look who he had to guard in practice every day. He's going to be the best one-on-one ball defender ever. He shut down Magic in an NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Magic was having.
Well,
Magic
I wouldn't say shut down, but he did
he
well.
did. Mike, Magic Johnson abused Michael Jordan in Game 1 when Mike tried to guard Magic because Mike wanted the assignment. Phil made the astute observation, put Scotty on Magic Johnson. They proceeded to win the next 4 games after losing Game 1 at home.
No,
Scotty shut down Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, I don't even think averaged 20 points a game in that series, and Kareem was gone. He needed to average at least 25.
Yeah, it was I think he was like 18,
17,
8 or something.
2.9, 8 and 8 or something like that, which is like, oh, that's good, except for when you're like one of the top 5 players that ever played this game. That's not good.
In the finals. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What I thought about when they said that is actually like, Mike, young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson played together once, and Oscar Robertson fundamentally was as sound at every aspect of his game at that point in time as Kyrie was at the time, as far as a point guard is concerned, and what a point guard was asked to do in all facets and aspects of the court. There was nothing that Oscar Robertson couldn't do on the court, much like Kyrie, supreme ball handler, mid-range game, you name it, Oscar Robertson can do it. And he had this guy that was still going by Lou Alcindor at the time that like literally was averaging 35 points a game and blocking about 4 shots a game. And then there's Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, who were both averaging roughly 30 points a game together for some seasons. So it's like, when you look at errors, it's like, no, Jerry West and Elgin Baylor were out there doing everything. The stuff Michael Jordan and Dr. J did, Elgin Baylor did first. There just was no video recordings of it.
Jay Short says, sometimes too much artistic freedom is not a good thing. Some artists need Puffy, Suge, Top Dog. I can see Kendrick going off the rails.
Oh.
And, speaking of which, and even if you want to talk about artistic freedom and going off the rails, Andre needed Big Boy. That was the balance. We got those Outkast albums because of their incredible balance with one another. And the fans also understood that, Big Boy, Andre is not going to take it too far because Big Boy's here.
Right.
And, listen to this title. Listen to this title again. Mr. Morales and the Big Steppers. We got Damn, To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, Section 8. If we're just ranking album titles, this is at the bottom.
It's just not cool when these guys like blow up, make these millions of dollars, get in their 30s and try to act like rap isn't cool anymore. Like, I don't like that. Like, it would be different if it's like, if it didn't provide you with your whole, like, fucking lifestyle and everything that you have that comes with it. Like, it's so disrespectful. Like, that's like a guy that spends like 50 years working at a job in a company, and that job literally is provided for him in his whole life and giving him pension and retirement, provided for his family, put the kid through college, and then he retires and he's like, man, fuck that job. It's like,
it's like, listen, man, if you're a plumber, right, and then you made your whole life on that, put your kids through school and all that, I ain't no damn plumber. If somebody call you a plumber, you get offended. Or somebody asks you to help them out with something that a plumber would know, you're like, man, I don't do that plumber shit no more, man. Like, I ain't no plumber.
I'm thankful for every way and every time I've been able to provide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like on some real shit, like every which way that it has come, I've been thankful for it. So there's something really fucking stuck up about it when niggas come from the projects and start behaving this way, especially when it's a guy who, let's not get it twisted. You remember the end to Pimp a Butterfly with the Tupac conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Where he talks about how niggas over 30 here in America start acting and losing their fire and their passion and their ability to speak their mind.
You lose your fight.
And losing your fight, and here you go. We hearing rumblings for the last 2-3 years about a rock album.
We haven't heard a over 30 Kendrick album yet. He's 34. We're going on 5 years. When Damn came out, he was 29.
That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like you've had all this passion and all this rhetoric and all this conception and all this vitriol in your 20s. I hope you're not turning into one of them niggas in your 30s like Tupac was talking about, because my black ass hasn't. Matter of fact, I got to address some black ass shit I said about Jack Harlow last week, because at 40, I haven't lost that fire and that passion. And so when I see a title that sounds like some band leader's album, and I hear rumblings about a rock album, but when you do rap, you talking about you smoking on some top five, when we haven't heard an album in 5 years. And the truth of the matter is you was on the back end of the top 10 the last time we heard you, and you're not there now. Like, motherfucker, you better stop talking and deliver. Like, the tweet that you sent is all we need to fucking see. Now give us the music, and if the music's not up to par, you need to have several seats. But mostly, all of y'all that's been bigging up in him, telling me that I need to keep this energy. Y'all the one that need to have several seats.
I can't wait.
Oh, Mike, it better be epic.
I can't wait.
It better be epic. People talking about me better keep that energy. No, that nigga better be in the motherfucking
No. Y'all better keep the same energy. Y'all better keep the same energy.
But here's the thing about it, Mike, and you and I know this because once upon a time we rap. We know that it's like, oh, when you take this long to rap,
you're out of rhythm.
Something's wrong. We know something's wrong. Mike, you know it sometimes when you just freestyle randomly over a beat that you may hear that you like, and you don't catch the cadence to it like you may like because you don't do it regularly like
exactly.
Right. You know, Mike, like, come on.
LP says M never made a rock album. And that's right. Well, I got to give him that. But yeah, you're right. When you're out of practice, like you hear a beat, like, listen, I used to freestyle all the time. So it was like second nature. And I jump on that now, I can still do it, but it's not like it was when I was doing the shit every day. That 5-year break, man, it's going to hit them. It's kind of like this Kaepernick shit, right? Where it's like, people think Kaepernick could take, once again, is it a 5-year break, 5 or 6 year break, and just jump back in the league?
No.
You can't do that. You can't do that on anything. No one is that second natured at anything to be able to jump out of something for 5 years and jump back in with people who are doing this shit every day.
Hold on. Michael Jordan in his prime, arguably the greatest ever at what he did. Probably. Might be the greatest athlete ever. In his prime. Took, what was it, 17 months off?
Yep.
And came back, Mike.
Sweat.
And needed not only to come back and play what? The final 27 games? But needed a whole off season after those 27 games to get back to something that resembled his peak form before he left. And he was the best that ever did it. And notoriously the hardest worker in basketball.
Yeah, he didn't just come back from baseball and go beat Orlando. No.
Okay, Orlando beat that ass.
Yeah.
Shaq blocked his shot in a moment that mattered. I had never seen
Nick Anderson stole the ball from him in a moment that mattered. I've never seen Michael Jordan get the ball stolen from him.
I've seen his pocket get picked before. His pocket has been picked before.
But not like that. Player. Not like in a key moment in the game.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so it's like people talking. This is what I keep saying. Is like, why are y'all talking about him like he's Rakim?
LP says Nas is in his 30s. Spoke more than ever, and risked commercial success for the message. Yeah. I mean,
that's bringing up that Rakim 5-year break. It's like because like. Lyrically, hearing Rakim 5 years after the last time you heard him, it's like, oh, that's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets when you take 5 years off.
Somebody said Common is a brunch rapper. That's hilarious. On that note.
Hold on. You want to know what? Guess what? When you rap at brunch, that means you're outside. At least this nigga's outside.
At least he's outside. It's an outside brunch. Huh? Okay, before we move on. Before we move on, because we're going real long right now, any predictions for the Kendrick album? I know we're going to talk about this again before May 13th.
If it's in a rap album that's the equivalent to Damn, I'm going to be doing what it is that I do, which is being honest about it, and I'm not going to let up about it.
My predictions is it's not going to be a lot of rapping. and it's gonna be some mid. I think that
All right, how
it's
about this? Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's
I'm sorry.
going to my prediction. And again, I know y'all gonna say I'm hating or whatever, just based on everything that we see, based on the lack of rhythm, based on the 5 year break. I think that it's gonna be a step below Section 80, which I think okay. I got To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, Section 80, and it's gonna be behind that.
So, how would you rate Section 80 out of how many purple tapes would you give Section 84?
Yeah, definitely.
So, you think we got a 3.5, 3.75 coming up?
Yeah. And again, before y'all say I'm biased and this and that, again, there's nobody who's been able to come back from a 5 year break and jump right into form and make some of the stuff that they've been able to make in their peak talent. I think that what Coop said about Michael Jordan is a perfect correlation. When he went off and played baseball at the top of his game, he's gone for 17 months. He came back and he needed a whole nother season. Now if y'all want to tell me he drops this album and it's a mid and then he comes back next year with a strong album, now that I believe. But
Right.
this one, nah.
And when I mean off season for Michael Jordan, do you remember the last dance where he's like he told the guys, go on vacation for a week and we're back in here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like it literally took him the entirety of the off season.
Entirety of it.
Again. So it took the greatest of all time about 6 to 7 months just to get his game back.
Yeah.
And y'all telling me after 5 years that this guy is just going
He's just gonna jump back in and make an album better than Damn. Because that's what he needs to do.
Right, and
but
that's why
not
I'm going to go to that's why I'm going to go to the 18th letter again. It's like, well, the 18th letter yielded classic songs that showed who Rakim was. Is this album going to at least do that? That's why I keep bringing up Rakim in the 18th letter. It's like, no, 5 year break. Can you do The Saga Begins? It's been a long time. New York, The Mystery. Who was like, can you? Because like that's the best feat that we've seen pulled off from somebody in this climate, taking 5 years off. And I'm going to say this again. When he took the 5 year break, Mike, he was considered to be the greatest MC of all time. And like you said, his group broke up. And what some people don't know, I believe his father passed in that time too.
Well, his father passed when Let the Rhythm hit him during that time. Yeah, right before that. But I'm sure he's still dealing with that.
Right. And so, but he was the greatest MC of all time when he left. Yeah. And he didn't come back and be like king again.
Someone in the chat said something about, we don't know if it already wasn't recorded and this and that. Listen, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. If this nigga had an album done and completed, and this is what we're about to hear on May 13th, everybody in the world, we would have gotten this the week of the Super Bowl. So let's cut that out. The fact that he didn't drop anything when the whole world was watching during the Super Bowl lets me know he didn't have an album. And he didn't have an album that was near done. Because they would have burned the midnight oil to make sure that shit got completed to piggyback off the Super Bowl. Everybody put out stuff during the Super Bowl. That's what you do. That's the point of it.
No, you're right. Somebody said you're thinking too much. I think they're pointing at the wrong person. He's the one that's thinking too much.
Yeah.
Because I think what's happened in these last 5 years is that he's cycled through different flows and styles, trying to find the next thing that sticks that's going to make him continue to ride his wave. And here's what I mean about ride his wave. Well, this wave is not based on his lyrical ability. He's not Rakim or Nas or Thought or Lupe like that on the mic. Well, this isn't based on his hit-making ability. He's not Big or Jay or Pop at hit-making. Well, this isn't based on his storytelling ability or depth because he's not Scarface, he's not Ghostface. And we have already identified and established these things. And so what is happening and what I'm trying to tell you is that, well, let me ask you something about Kendrick Lamar. Do you really know who Kendrick Lamar is? Like after 4 albums, do you know who he is?
And, I feel like Damn was him. And, and when I heard, all right, this is the thing. And I want to get to what LP said, too. He said that Rakim's style in the 80s was Eric B's. That was a super chat we needed to get to. But Okay.
Excuse me?
No. I don't know. I mean, that's what he said.
Let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Clarify.
But what I was gonna say was when I heard Good Kid, Mad City, I felt like, okay, this is an all hands on deck industry album or whatnot. Sort of like the documentary in a sense, without all the features, right? And then when I heard the transition to Pimp a Butterfly, I was like, okay, this is really him. This is the album that he wanted to make. And then I heard Damn, and then I heard the way he was talking about To Pimp a Butterfly, negatively almost. I was like, okay, this is him. This is who he wants to be sonically. Like, so if there's any album that I would say is him, I would say either Section 80 or Damn. And I would lean more towards Damn.
Okay, so I say Section 80 is the kid who is becoming a man that we hear on Good Kid, Mad City. And we don't really know who this guy is since To Pimp a Butterfly is what I'm trying to say. We don't really.
Somebody said
Like,
that he doesn't need the Super Bowl. Why was he
no,
there? Everyone
like,
needs the Super Bowl. We got to stop that stuff, man. We got to stop that stuff. He didn't need the Super Bowl. Why was he there?
Go ahead.
Why, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course he needed the Super Bowl, and that is the biggest. What do y'all think the Super Bowl is for? They don't pay you to do the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is for promotion.
Hold on.
And if you had an album done, and when you got everybody's watching the Super Bowl, everybody's watching the Super Bowl halftime show. That's why all the ad revenue for indie commercial there is the highest in the world. They know everybody is watching this one program at one time. So if you had music, it was coming right after that. You didn't have music.
Of all the people who performed, he's the one that actually needed the promotion the most. What are
Of
we
course,
talking about?
because he's
What is
supposed to be
Dr. Dre?
active.
What does Dr. Dre need to promote? Hello, I'm the greatest hip hop producer of all time and the author of this West Coast gangster rap sound. My name is Snoop Dogg. I'm the only person that made 2 of the 10 greatest rap albums ever made. My name is 50 Cent. I went diamond the first time around. My name is Mary J. Blige. I'm the queen of hip. Who the fuck? I'm Eminem. I'm selling 700 million streams of something black people have not heard. He is the only one who actually needed that promotion and that publicity. This is what I'm talking about bringing these Kendrick fans back to the reality of who he really is in this hip hop sphere.
I agree. Well, let's leave it there because I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more. We got to move on.
I want to see him smoke on my top 5 on May 13th. That's what I'm going to say. If this album is an album of the year, I'm going to start off by naming my top 5 and be like, who y'all think he's smoking on? Who he smoking on?
Well, speaking of smoking on top 5s, Illmatic just celebrated 28 years.
That's some shit smoking on your.
And I want to ask you, and I don't know if we've actually covered this on the show before. What's your favorite song on Illmatic?
I mean, The World Is Yours is the reason that I started even rapping, Mike. I was like, I want to do that. It's like, I don't know if I can do that, but I want to do that. I want to do that with my life if I can do that. I don't think I can do that. I don't know what he's doing. I sip the Don P watching Gandhi till I'm charging, writing in my book of rhymes, all the words past the margin. Mike, when I used to write my stories and my short stories and my thoughts, I used to write the words past the margin. It was the first time I used to hear express that. I used to feel like the paper wasn't enough paper for me to write and get my ideas out when I was a kid. So when I heard somebody say that on record, it was over. It was over right there. It was like the relatability was there. And then he was like understandable, smooth shit that murderers move with. And it was like a lot of dudes like around me, like they liked me because it's like I wasn't like them and they knew I was going somewhere. And so even when he said like the understandable, smooth shit that murderers move with, it's like, no. I understand that because I was around dudes like that, but they was understanding my style and where I was coming from. And so the record for me was just so relatable. And I was like, how can this nigga be like from New York and like be like experiencing, you know what I'm saying? The things that I'm experiencing growing up on the east side of Atlanta and the west side of Charlotte. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm with you on that. I think The World Is Yours is probably the best produced song on there. I mean, I don't want to get super nerdy. You know what? I like the way, and it's not my favorite song. I love the way he approached Represent. See, my stacks is fat. You know what it's about. Before the BDP conflict with MC Shan, around the time when Shantae dissed the real Roxanne. I love the way. I've always loved like I think Represent probably, and this is primo, which is crazy to say, might be the second weakest beat on there. But the way he attacked it, go ahead.
Let's talk about Represent right quick since we're just having an Illmatic
Yeah,
conversation.
yes. I want to talk about some songs we normally don't talk about in the context that we talk about.
Right, so let's talk about Represent. That is one of those songs that made the street ethos of the album strong. And so Illmatic is poetic in a way that all the great rap albums before it, not made by Rakim, are super poetic, even beyond like KRS-One stuff in terms of the poetic and rhythmic nature of it. Represent was on some street shit. You know, catch me whopping with a bop and my hat turned back. Love committing sins and my friend sell crack. This nigga raps with a razor keeping under my tongue. The school dropout. Never liked the shit from day one. That's that shit that niggas in the street need to gravitate towards. You feel me? And Represent is that. Musically speaking, I think it is held up the weakest of everything on that album. I actually had a question. Which song got recorded first outside of Halftime? Because we know Halftime came from Zebrahead. And if you were to ask me, Mike, what song got recorded first, Mike, I would think that Represent was the next song that got recorded.
It sounds very vintage. Even the beat, you could even tell that Premier stepped it up on New York State of Mind, and Memory Lane. You can't
Both
tell
versions.
me that he made that beat after those or in between those. Represent had to be first.
So, Mike, this is back when, you know, the producers used to have the beat tape. So here's what I'm going to tell you I think. Represent was one of those beats that was probably on a beat tape after Step Into the Arena that maybe was being considered for Hard to Earn, but about who Nas was or around whatever, it was on a beat tape. But here's what I know, Mike. Like, both version beat-wise of Memory Lane and New York State of Mind, oh, that's the moment that Preem became kind of like Preem beat-wise, where it's like, oh no, another level. Like, he was making dope shit, and like he's got stuff like Mass Appeal and Dwick, and he's got some stuff. But Mike, when you hear New York State of Mind and you hear Memory Lane, and then you hear that second version of Q-Tip, like played later, you can tell that's when that guy hit his zone as producer. He hit his zone while Nas was making Illmatic. That's perfect fucking timing for us as rap fans.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, I think the timing on a production level is perfect for Nas anyway when we talk about the fact that, you know, you got Large Professor coming off of Breaking Atoms. You got Preem, like you said, hitting his stride. You got Pete Rock making Main Ingredient and coming off of Mecca and the Soul Brother. And you got Q-Tip coming off of Midnight Marauders. Like, it's crazy.
Well, it's also, too, let me say this. You can hear it because the instrumentation that's on Represent, I swear that's almost some of the same stuff that's being used on New York State of Mind. It's just it's slowed down, it's heavier, and it almost feels like Preem's bought better equipment.
It almost does feel like that. Blue Collar Hustler says It Ain't Hard to Tell was the first song. Okay.
It was the first single. It Ain't Hard to Tell was the first single.
I don't know, though. I'm with Blue Collar Hustler because I do remember hearing an early version of It Ain't Hard to Tell. I do remember, but I think that version that I heard, though, to be fair, Blue Collar Hustler wasn't the one that actually made the album. It did have the Human Nature sample, but Nas sounded very Rakim-ish on that version.
I mean,
but that version didn't make the album, though. So I guess what we're saying is, like, as far as like the finals that made it, I do think the Represent was probably early.
It feels that way. Like, it feels that way. It just does. How about this? To me, when I hear Life's a Bitch and The World Is Yours, that's to round the album out. I feel like New York State of Mind is down. Represent is down. One Time for Your Mind is down. Halftime is down. It Ain't Hard to Tell is down. It's like, I feel like The World Is Yours and Life's a Bitch is what's rounding out the end of the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels that way. Can I say something right quick? Like, because you brought up the whole, like, well, he's rapping. Who'd you say he was rapping like on that record? Say he was rapping like
Rakim-ish.
So the entirety of Illmatic is like Rakim meets Cool G rap, because those are Nas's influences, and like you can hear it. And so To hear somebody that is rapping poetically and using the verbiage and the thought process of a Rakim, but he is talking in a greasy, in a very like upfront and like stark manner, the way a Cool G rap. Well, nobody had ever done that. You know,
I've always
that's
said, man, Illmatic is probably the most lyrical, easy listening album that there
well,
is.
well, it's Rakim and Cool G rap's ethos together in one album, and so New York State of Mind is the epitome of it, where he says Rakim type stuff like "my rhyming is a vitamin held without a capsule." But he also says Cool G rap type stuff like pick the Mac up, Toll Brothers back up, the Mac spit, lead was hitting niggas, one ran, I made them
That's
backflip.
very Cool G rapish.
That's
Yeah,
Cool G rap.
yeah,
The rhyme like a vitamin without a capsule, oh, that's that Rakim level depth that we had very rarely heard from
yeah.
anybody, even in 1994. Mike, he covered that territory on the first song of Illmatic. So when people are like, oh, this is the greatest MC of all time, well, that's because, well, Mike, he had implored by the beginning of the onset of this album, he had implored and exemplified two of the greatest five MCs of all time at the time masterfully on the first song at fucking 17, 18 years old. That's
Out
the
the
type of shit
gate.
that have people thinking that you will think that you're the greatest MC of all time. It's like, well, damn, he's on Rakim and Cool G rap level at the same damn time on the first song that you hear. This guy's the greatest MC of all time.
Blue Collar Hustler says it used to be called Nas Will Prevail. It was on the demo. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh,
I like
Nas
it.
Will Prevail. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Man
You want me
Dad
to
says,
listen in?
where do you guys rank Large Professor?
As a what? Producer?
As a producer, I just wish Large Professor would have gotten more placements. I think he's definitely in my. I mean, I hate putting numbers on it. Top 15,
I
20,
was thinking 25. Top
25.
25.
Yeah,
Because
I think the lack of placements because just based on his individual work and his abilities, Large Professor, the truth. Whenever he gets called on, you know what I'm
right.
saying?
So if we're talking capability, top 15 for certain. But if we're talking about like how the resume plays out, top
Yeah.
20, 25 probably.
And it's
And I
unfair.
told
It's kind of like Ski, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys make some of the greatest hip hop songs ever made, but they don't get the calls that they should get. That, as fans, we feel like they should get.
no, they don't. Like, I mean, like, how about this? I think he's almost as good a beat maker as Q-Tip, but it's like where I'm going to have Q-Tip and where I have Large Pro is going to be a separation about the quality of work and about the output. Like Q-Tip going to be somewhere like 8, 9, 10, 11. If not, 8, 9, 10, 11 probably on my list, and Pro probably going to be like 18, 19, 20, 21. It's going to be a gap, even though the skill level isn't like that different.
What do you think about this Nas and Wu-Tang tour that's been announced?
I think we're going. You just didn't know it yet till I told you.
Oh, no, I already knew that.
No, are they coming here? They're coming to
Yeah, they're coming to Atlanta. Yeah.
Give me a second. If we're going to Charlotte, I'll just go home.
No, we might go to one or two of those shows. I think that's going to be a dope tour. I guess KD3's probably going to happen like right before this tour starts, I would imagine.
Actually, I was thinking there was a Supreme Clientele 2 talk last year, Mike. So now, I mean, let's talk about viable Wu members.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the 3 members we're about to talk about. We know KD3 is on the way because Ugly just dropped the Feed the Buzz, Mike.
Yeah.
Are we getting a Raekwon album? I don't know.
I would like to see Raekwon and Ghost on KD3. Do you think that's out of the realms?
Mike, would love to hear Verbal Intercourse 2 on KD3.
That'd be dope.
Anyway, it's time. It's time.
I mean, I know some people might listen to the show. I think that's a good idea that Coop just put out there. Verbal Intercourse 2 on KD3.
About to go on tour.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to come out and perform part 1 and part 2?
I think that'd be crazy.
Whatever the best beat that RZA has left, go ahead and just go take it. Be like, no, the best beat you got, give it to us 3. Going to do what we did again. I mean, Nas isn't going to be able to duplicate his performance, but they can duplicate some of the feeling. But really, what I really, really want to happen about this tour, because we know what Nas is doing and who he is and where he is, Mike, this is Method Man's moment to drop the album that we all think that he can drop.
Okay.
This is it.
That's an interesting take.
This is it. This is it.
Meth got a lot going on, man.
No. He's already dropped the single, Mike. We reviewed the single.
Yeah.
He already been working last year with Conway with Lemon. This Method Man.
I would
That's
like
what
to
I
see
want.
Meth get in the lab more with the Conways of the world.
Can actually, since we're talking about it, can we get verbal intercourse too? And can we get shootouts? You know, Method Man was supposed to be on shootouts off of It Was Written. Like.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Might
Can we
as
get
well.
like that? Can we get that on Method Man's album? Shootouts Part 2, like on Method Man's album?
Get
Like,
Nas on Method Man's album. Nas hasn't been on a Method Man album yet, has he?
No.
Okay.
Method hasn't been on Nas album either.
No.
They've actually not really worked together.
What did you think about the Ugly video? Because Nas just recently put out the video for Ugly off of Magic again, feeding the buzz for KD3. What you think about the video?
Just my first thought was just because we've been having all these talks about literary devices. This is where the abstract thought put together in conjunction seamlessly wins over that literary device of seaming one thought process together. You're able to provide visual aids that relate to the song and make the song more impactful and powerful. It's harder to do that when you're using a literary device that streams the same topic down the wire. That's what I mean. Like, that's all. Like, when you're pulling it off, it's a beautiful thing. It's just, well, we work in the entertainment sphere, and the abstract thought put together well, which is what Nas is literally the best ever at. Well, this is where it wins. Because when you see Ugly, after hearing it, the way that they fit it together, but Mike, it's because they have so much imagery to pull from because of the thought process that he uses. You know, like when they go to the Marvin Gaye to Young Dolphin, there's that quick Marvin Gaye looking flash. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, you get to do stuff like that when the thought process streams like that, when the streams of thought are abstract and fluid, but the artist knows how to piece them together. There are so many things that you can do, and it just lives on better because it's creating image in our mind. When you create an ethos and you just extend the ethos, you know, like the record that I was naming from Jay earlier that I'm not going to do to be shady. You know what I mean? Like, because people feel like I've been like saying things in a manner that's trying to like knock him down. But it's like, no, like, just contextualize it appropriately. It's like this video is easier to pull off because of the words being used. This video is based on the words. Imagine that.
No, I liked it. And I feel everything that you're saying because it made me actually feel the song on a different level. And I also like the fact that, you know, they're continuously putting out material, well, as far as like the visuals for material from Magic to kind of feed the KD3 buzz. Because it's not just the music that's feeding the KD3 buzz. We're actually seeing visuals to these songs we already like. I mean, I think they need to keep putting out visuals for Magic. I'm with it.
And I told you, like for me, when I heard Ugly to me was like his modern day version of Do-Rags. And that's kind of what the visual aid was like. I thought to myself, it's like if he would have did a video for Do-Rags, it would have been similar to this.
I love the fact that he's able to make videos for stuff like this now. Because back then, you could only make videos for the stuff that was banging. Like, you couldn't make a Blaze of 50 music video. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine him doing a Blaze of 50 video now, like where he's talking about like that scene with being with Stout at the dice table in Vegas with Terrell Davis? Like, Can you imagine the visual aid to that now?
I want to see it. You know what? I hope that they shoot a video for Blaze of 50 now. Why not? It's not too late.
Blaze of 50 was so, but the visual aid of it. I mean, and it's just somebody for me. I used to live off the 15, Mike. I used to play Vegas. So it's like when he's talking about it, it's like, no. That's how Vegas be, too. You'll meet women like that in Vegas, too.
Somebody mentioned the song off of Belly with Method Man, Nas, and DMX. That's fair, but I mean on their individual albums.
I really didn't count that.
Nah, I didn't think that lived up to it.
You know what I'm talking about.
Right. Before we get out of here, man, let's talk about this Paul Wall and Terminology album.
It's great.
I think that's where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Wall and Terminology. Man, this album, I was impressed, man. I was impressed.
Highly impressed.
I don't even know what to say. I'm damn near speechless, man. I mean, just off of the first song itself, no asterisks, because it set the tone.
It did.
And I didn't know what I was about to hear because, you know, listeners have been telling us we need to check this album out for a minute. And I was like, okay. Start to Finish. That's the name of the album, by the way. With Terminology and Paul Wall. I was like, okay, this is probably going to be like a cross between two worlds. But I never heard Paul Wall rhyme on stuff like this. And it came off really well.
Not that
I
I
got the whole production lineup here. I don't know if you got it in front of you.
Yeah. I wrote down the producers that did the stuff that Static didn't do.
Static did No Asterisks. Ask Permission was Static. Recognize My Car was Pete Rock, which I really love that song. Thailand was Terminology. No Favors was Static Selector. Static Selector again on Clover Lane, my bad. How You Been was Dame Grease. No Tolerance was Static Selector. Money Phone was Jay Cardin. And Step Outside was Static Selector. You know what, man? Static Selector has his hat, has his name in the hat, excuse me, for Producer of the Year right now. He did some pretty dope work on here.
I'm gonna have to agree with you totally. First of all, I think this album so far, as we approach May, this is the surprise of the year.
Oh,
Because
easily. I think
this is
it's an album of the year contention. I don't think it is, but it's up there. It's top five.
I agree with those sentiments, Mike. That's why it's the surprise of the year, because this actually deserves some album of the year consideration. Because after listening to it, it's like, and this is what I mean. You have to make music that people enjoy no matter what you prefer. Do I prefer the stuff that Conway and Benny do? It's like, yeah. But after listening to this album and also with Currency's album, can I tell you that Conway and Benny's album are succinctly better than those two albums I just named, continuous and start to finish? It's like, well, no, this is right there with those, which makes it album of the year contender.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Definitely the surprise of the year. Who would have thought Paul Wall would team up with Terminology, with Static Selector doing the beats with guys like Pete Rock and Dame Grease showing up, and it would meld this beautifully and seamlessly. It's a wonderful project, Mike.
Man Nan says, no slight to Paul Wall, but Terminology killed it. I got to give Paul Wall credit for his versatility, though. Because he's the one that had to step out of his comfort zone. And he did a really good job at it. Ray Realm says, are y'all going to review Snoop's Drink Champs interview? I don't know if we're going to get to that, especially the Jay-Z, Eminem, and 50 situation. Who knows?
We might get to it Friday after we talk about Pusha's album. Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's another thing. Like, no, I actually want you to espouse upon your thought about the whole Southern artist in this realm thing, about what you were telling me earlier, because I think that people need to hear that about Paul Wall's performance. Because when people are like, Terminology killed it, it's like, look at what Paul Wall just did. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I guess my first perception of this, and usually when you have a Southern artist get with somebody with, I guess more of a traditional hip hop sound or style, they tend to adjust to the Southern artist. But Paul Wall did the exact opposite. He was rhyming over stuff that at least I had never heard him, rhyme over before. I don't know if Static Selector and Paul Wall worked together before, or Pete Rock. I don't think so. But Paul Wall was the one that had to make the biggest adjustments, and he did a great job at it. I thought this was, a pleasant surprise.
So, it was. So here's what I mean about taking away from Paul Wall. Is Paul Wall the MC that Terminology is? No. Does he sound as fluid or as comfortable as Terminology at these beats on times? No. But this is pretty remarkable for a Southern MC. And this is what I mean from this regard. Well, the album's not really missing anything or lacking anything when Paul steps to the mic. Yeah. And what I really realized, and this is something we got to give credit for, well, you can tell Paul is a professional rapper who goes to work, Mike. He did his fucking job on this album. You can't ask too many Southern MCs to step into this East Coast sounding climate or album and perform at the level that Paul just performed at, especially when we have no evidence of him being able to do that really, Mike. And so even though Terminology is the star of this album, Paul Wall's performance needs to be acknowledged, and more Southern MCs maybe need to be able to get like him, because you're absolutely right. When these projects come together, they're always like, let's do this down south style production to make it better for this artist. And it kind of seems like Paul Wall walked into their world and was like, nah, I'm cool with doing this rap shit. Let's go. And did it well.
Because, the thing is, and not to cut you off, and I just want to finish this train of thought. I think they do that because, when the South started emerging with its sound, it's like, some East Coast artists piggybacked off of some of those sounds for radio play or whatever.
Yep.
And so it's not because they wanted to do that. And I think Biggie set that tone too when he did Notorious Thugs. And I know that Bone's not from, the South, but just being able to adjust to someone else's style and get their fans and their play, that kind of became the play. And I think that what Paul Wall's done is it's different. It changed the whole dynamic there where, like you said, a Southern MC could adjust to these records. And so, I would say I would like to see somebody like T.I. do something like this.
I thought about that.
I think certain people might need something like this just to do.
So Paul Wall, low-key, may have given some Southern artists a formula. T.I. was the first guy that I thought of, too, because here's the thing about it that people need to understand, and here's what I mean about Paul Wall's performance. No, Paul Wall helped this album go. This album is not an album of the year contender without Paul Wall. Recognize My Car is on here, right?
Yeah.
This isn't an album of the year contender without that. That's Paul Wall. That's Paul Wall and all his drip on some East Coast beat shit, literally by Pete Rock.
And shout out to Pete Rock, too, for being able to make a beat like that for this album. I didn't even know that was Pete Rock when I was listening to it.
No, me neither. No asterisks? You don't think Paul Wall snapping on no asterisks? I do.
Yeah, I like it, man. And I hate that it took us this long to get to it, but I'm glad we finally got to it. And
no, Mike, it just came out April 8th. We're not like super behind.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're not super behind.
I give it like a 4.2, man. 4.25.
I was thinking, Mike, we gave Lotto's album a 4.25. I think it's better than that, so I was thinking 4.3.
Okay.
Yeah, because
we're not going all the way up to a 4.5.
We're gonna have to
talk about all our scales, and again, everything kind of gets adjusted as the year goes on, and as we've heard more things, and we see how certain things age. So,
right. I mean, because I've even thought because here's how this year is shaping up, and we've been doing this podcast for over 2 years now. But the way this year is shaping up, I don't know. We haven't had a year yet where we've gotten so many good albums this early on. Like, Mike, the first year,
people are outside.
People are outside like a motherfucker. Like the first year that we did this, Mike, this time, I want you to understand, around this time, 2 years ago when we were starting this podcast, Mike, the only albums that we had heard, Mike, that we thought were great 2 years ago, by this point, we were like, Jay Electronica's album is really good, and Alfredo and Pray for Paris are classic. And that's all we had by the end of April 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
2020 ended up being rounded out very well, too.
Mike, look at what we got right now, Mike. I'm still like 6-7 albums behind what I'm listening to, and we've probably rated about 7 to 10 albums that are over 4 purple tapes, and deservedly over 4.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't deserve these ratings. It's like, and it's not like, I thought like, it's like, man, are we being too nice? Or are these motherfuckers really getting busy right now? And it's like, no, these motherfuckers are getting busy right now.
Michael Oprah says when Kendrick drops, he's shifting the culture. So when Kendrick drops, he shifts the culture.
Artists don't shift culture. The music they create do.
That's a good point. I agree with
Michael
that.
Jackson didn't shift the culture. Thriller shifted the culture. Thereby, Michael Jackson became a cultural shifter. Get it together.
Well, Michael needed those songs to do the moonwalk to. He needed those songs to make the Thriller video to.
And this is what I mean. Is like when people just get too grandiose with their commentary. You understand Michael Jackson didn't become a cultural shifter till Thriller. This motherfucker been a child star since he was 10, and he made Off the Wall a year and a half before that. And it took Thriller for him to shift the culture. Stop throwing these words around so easily.
No. Let's go here. What does Kendrick actually shift?
Right, that's what I'm saying. What culture has he shifted? He hasn't changed anything about this rap climate. He popped up in a weak ass climate and named himself king and disappeared as soon as this shit started
And when
smoking.
he disappeared, hip hop was just fine.
No, Mike, hip hop actually got better when he disappeared. That's why it's like, oh, is he
Yeah.
king? Because I can't tell because kings get judged by their reign. And so if we're judging kings by their reign, you're not going to go down as some good king. You're going to go down as one of those dark ages kings because it's like, well, look at what was going on when he was king. It's like, oh, well, that's not the type of world we wanted to live in the rap world. This the world we want to live in. Come be king in this climate.
Well, we're gonna see May 13th. And I don't
Yeah,
think it's shifting too much, man. And again, I know y'all probably think that I'm bugging or whatever, but 5 year break and the height of, I mean, you named it. All these records is coming out. Pusha T's coming out Friday. I think this is gonna be a very good album. Do I think it's gonna be album of the year? No, but do I think it's gonna be better than Kendrick's album? Yes. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but I think that Pusha's album that's dropping Friday is gonna be better than Kendrick that's dropping May 13th. It's my opinion.
so here's where I am right now, and I'll just tell you.
Mm-hmm.
This Pusha T album is not about to be album of the year.
What album? I'm sorry.
Pusha T album's not going to be album of the year.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar album's not going to be album of the year. I think the Conway and the Benny are already out of the running for it. And so here's what I'm going to submit to you about where we are as we approach month 5. KD3 and Freddie Gibbs.
Freddie Gibbs is looking really tough.
Gibbs is looking tough right now. And Gibbs, unlike everybody else, been waiting quietly. Like, he been talking and doing his thing, but like musically, he's been laying in the cut. And last time we heard him was Alfredo. And Mike, I've already said this, is like, well, if I'm redoing 2020, I'm putting Alfredo at number 2 ahead of From a King to a God.
Does Jay-Z drop in 2022?
Yes, he does, but I was talking about album of the year stuff, so that's why we're talking about KD3 and Freddie Gibbs and not Jay. Jay won't be making no album of the year. The same way Nas didn't make no album of the year with KD1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, KD1 was 2020. Like, people was like, I had KD1 right after Alfredo. People like, you tripping. Alfredo don't got shit on KD1. It's like, no. You niggas smoking. Alfredo's better than KD1.
Oh, yeah, next. Alfredo's better than KD1 by far.
Yeah, niggas saying that shit. It's like, no, you're the one, you're standing. That's what I mean about the fans. It's like, no, that's a really great Nas album. That's a classic, seminal piece by Freddie Gibbs.
Man, we 3.5 hours in, man. Are you ready to review Pusha T on Friday? Because that's going to be our next show.
I am. We didn't get to the Jack Harlow thing, but I still want to address that on Friday.
Okay,
because
we'll address that on Friday.
I need time to address it, including the article from Rolling Stone, because I want people to understand something before I preface this. Like, don't put me in a position to talk about him a certain way when white people get to highlight his whiteness in this culture and we give them a hall pass for it. And so I'm just going to say that. It's like, no. They highlight his whiteness to sell magazines in the sphere of this culture. And I'm not handing out any fucking hall passes or apologizing, but we can unpack it all.
Well, you got to earn that. And you know what? I saw the Complex, before we get up out of here, they kept putting this post around and other people piggybacking off of the post. And they talking about the next 4 weeks in hip hop. And they talking about Pusha this week, Future next week, Jack Harlow the 3rd week, and Kendrick week 4. And I'm like, wait a minute, guys. Nobody's checking for Jack Harlow like that. Y'all put Jack Harlow in the same bunch as Pusha, Future, and Kendrick? Come on now. Not to mention that Black Star is actually dropping that 3rd week. That could have been said. We ain't got a Black Star album in 24 years. But Jack Harlow, really? I mean, it seems like a lot of unearned benefits. I would say that.
For a 24-year-old white rapper from Louisville, Kentucky, yes, possibly. When you're putting him next to somebody like, I don't know, Pusha T, that's in rap year number like 24, somebody like Future that's like in rap year number like what, 14. You get what I'm saying?
Game. And like, Kendrick, who hadn't dropped in 5 years, but is totally in an elite class, just coming off the Super Bowl.
Look, all you Black Star fans, you see how quick they blocked out Black Star to put Jack Harlow's name in? That's because Black Star don't have no Black Star material except for one good album. It's not a classic, it's good. You see how they get to change the narrative of it so clearly and succinctly? They can just not put the Black Star album down like they like, because what? They're like, yeah, they dropped the dope album 24 years ago. Whoop-de
Well, I think
fucking
the other
whoop.
part of it is too is the fact that Black Star is kind of doing this on their own mission. You know what I'm saying? And it's not on the streaming platform, so of course the mainstream media is not going to promote that. Now, regardless of how I feel about how this is being put out, to the fans, I am going to make sure that people know that the Black Star album is coming out and where they can get it. You know what I mean?
No,
Just
I
like
mean,
we would do with anybody else.
yes, and I just want to be clear too that these guys that didn't like the industry, they loved the industry when it was behooving them and fitting for them. I told you, Most Def is in the Change Clothes video getting the model's phone number.
Oh
Did you
my
love
goodness.
the industry then? Did you love the industry then? No. That Talib said most don't like the industry. That's why we doing this. It's like
He doesn't like it now. He could have liked
right.
it then and don't like it now. There's things that I liked in 2003 that I don't like in
No,
2022.
Mike. Listen to what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, but financially, when you had to, you did. So I don't want to hear that.
Well, it could be more than that. You know what I'm saying? I think
Mike,
that
I've been
I
out
think
here
that
enough,
Mos
Mike.
Def
No,
and
it's
Dave
not. It's
Chappelle
money.
had a very similar awakening and experience with the industry.
No. Mike, they had a very similar awakening, but people forget that part about Dave Chappelle where he tells you, I got to keep some of that money, though.
Of course.
Not all of it. I got to keep some of it. So stop making it seem like that shit wasn't about the money.
Well, I mean, they're not. Listen, I don't expect anybody to not take the money.
No. They played the game financially to get them to a certain place, and then financially when they get to a certain place, it's like, oh, I don't play the game anymore. It's like, well, you financially got to a place. That's why. Stop doing that holier than thou bullshit.
Well, but see, this is the thing, Coop. Someone could say the same thing about a Colin Kaepernick, right? He did that once he got the contract he needed, and he had the leverage to be able to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's smart. You don't go against the grain before you set yourself up to be able to live. You know what I mean?
It's fundamentally intelligent, but stop waving this flag around like you're here for us. You're here for yourself.
Well, I mean, everybody got to eat. No, I'm not gonna.
That's not how. But
that.
That's what I'm saying. But no. People be getting behind these people like these people are the people's champs. They're not the people's champ. Most Def and Talib Kweli are not the fucking people's champs. Do you remember Most Def running around talking about how him and Black Thought were going to make an album that was going to destroy the industry? How did that turn out?
I don't think anybody in the music industry is the quote unquote people's champ.
Then stop talking like you are. They talk like they are every time I hear them. Like, I'm so fucking sick of it. It's like real talk. It's like, I wish you niggas would just rap and make great rap music, because the reality of the matter is that how long is it since we've even gotten that from y'all as solo artists? How long is it have we gotten that from y'all as a group?
Talib goes to work. I give Talib that.
Like I said, I didn't say he didn't go to work. I said, when's the last time we got great material?
Nas the GOAT says, what do y'all think about Snoop saying in Drink Champs that Nas was on I Got My Mind Made Up with Pop, and Daz took him off the song? Well, Daz said that wasn't true, and Daz actually posted the actual song. Snoop was mistaken, it's 420, Snoop might have had a puff or two and got his story a little mixed up. But Daz played the actual song. I forgot the name of the song, but it was a song that had Corrupt on it. And I want to say Pac was on that, but he played the Nas verses. And one of the Nas verses actually ended up on Nas's Coming. But it's a dope record. We actually got it on accordingtohiphop.com. You can go check that out there for the full story. But yeah, Friday. I'm looking forward to it. I wish that it was see, again, man, some of my gripes about this rollout is the fact that it kind of takes the wind out of everyone's sails of anticipation, because people have heard the album now.
We're going to be the last one to hear it, Mike.
We are going to be the last ones to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that.
Look, everybody.
And we're trying to play the game right. You know what I'm saying?
No. We're usually the first one up with reviews. We're going to be the last one on this one. Thanks, guys.
Man, Johnson Daily Sports with the $20 super chat says, cool, where does Eminem rank all time? I got my popcorn.
Ooh, that is a fascinating question. What I would tell you, and I've always said this, like, for me, he checks the marker as a lyricist and an MC. Mike, you said something very striking behind the scenes. You're like, of all those top-notch lyricists he gets paired with, he's a better songwriter than pretty much all of those guys. And I think when you saying all of those guys, I think he's a better songwriter than those guys except for Nas and Rakim, right?
Well, if I'm talking about a lot of the guys who get knocked for not having those songwriting skills, the like the Crooked Eyes, the Cannabises, you know what I'm saying, and these guys are incredible lyricists. But I'm
So
just
he's so
saying, like the the very the lyrically dense crowd, and even Lupe Fiasco, like I would give Eminem that. He is a better songwriter than many
right.
of them. Now,
So
I'm not gonna say he's a better songwriter than like the Jay-Z's of the world and stuff like that. But people who are just known for just their lyrical veracity and the cipher type MCs, he's a better songwriter than most of them. I'll give him that.
no, he is because okay. So how about this? It's like, do I think that he's Black Thought on the mic as a lyricist? No. Has Black Thought proven to be a songwriter like Eminem? Sometimes. Through the roots. As a solo artist. I don't have enough evidence. Do I have thought higher than Eminem? Yes. Here's where stuff like this gets tricky. You have somebody like Eminem. Okay. Eminem's two best albums are better than Cool G Rap's best two albums. Is that fair? A lot of people are going to argue with me on that. A lot of people are going to say, "Oh, One A Day or Alive are better than Marshall Mathers LP and the Eminem Show." Objectively, what would you say?
Objectively, I would put the Eminem Show above all of
One,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I probably objectively would have Cool G Rap in that 25-ish area.
Wow.
Objectively.
And you're a big Cool G Rap guy. I want people out there to understand that.
I said objectively.
Okay.
Like I said, there's my personal list, and there's my objective list. On my personal list, Mike, Cool G Rap is top 15 on my personal list. You feel me? Objectively speaking, because I have to take albums, impact, and all these other things into account,
right?
He probably fall 20 to 25. I can't in clear conscience put Eminem ahead of Cool G Rap about anything except for the catalog. And if I'm pushing Kendrick back from other legends, because I'm like, well, all you got is the album, well, the same thing kind of applies to him. And so I'd say he probably would fall 25 to 35.
I was about to say, that's where I got him. I see somebody in the chat asking, like, if Friday we can, like, make some predictions of, like, the producers or features on Kendrick's album. I mean, I could tell you now, it's probably not going to have any features. And it's probably going to be Soundwave.
Dr. Dre.
I don't think that's happening.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. The only thing that can really improve this situation for me, in terms of what he is going to do, I told you, that is his ace in the hole. He has yet to make songs with Dr. Dre. And what I'm starting to feel like is that if this next album, that doesn't start happening, the one we're getting May 13th, then I'm going to start to say that that's not happening either. And more about Dre's age than even where Kendrick is. People got to look, this dude's going on 60 if he's not 60 already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, these dudes are getting older now. Hip-hop climate is changing, so these guys are older and viable longer than forever. Still fucking approaching Social Security, okay?
Definitely. I saw somebody in here say something about LL. Eminem's not a better songwriter than LL Cool J. Of course not.
No. And so where do I have LL? I got LL somewhere where I have Cool G Rap, like maybe a little higher because of the catalog and the song. So how about this? This is what I mean when I say personal.
LL's not in your top 10?
No. Actually, Mike, you want to know what?
I don't know about that.
L actually probably needs to be the 10 guy.
I think L and KRS are like right there. That's why I wish that the verses were those two.
No, when I thought about that out loud, it's like, no, actually put LL right at 10 right now if I were picking it.
All right, well, let's get up out of here. And for people who don't have the yearbook, make sure you go out there and get it. It's on Amazon. We actually got the digital offering of the yearbook that we're going to be presenting, tomorrow. Probably talk a little bit more about that on Friday so you guys can, dig into that as well. I got the link to the yearbook actually pinned to the top of this page. So there's a color version and there's a black and white version. It's on paperback, and the digital version is going to be all color, and that's going to be just a dub. So we're going to do that one for 20. And Ryan Gillum has a super chat. You guys keep coming with the super chats. He said, I heard Boy Wonder, Alchemist, and Terrence Martin are part of the Kendrick album. Okay. Maybe Pharrell is too. Maybe Pharrell's the one that played in Pusha T's album and gave him a sneak peek on the Pusha T date. And maybe that's why Kendrick's dropping on Pusha T's birthday and announced it 10 minutes after Pusha T announced when his album's coming out. These are just, just thoughts.
So a couple things. Pharrell is fired because he's messing up things for my favorite MC. You fired. Mm-hmm. Go make Happy and do a 24-hour video or something. Like, stop this shit.
I forgot about the 24-hour video.
Go do a 24-hour video. That was great. No, the 24-hour video was great. 8 of them was great outside this hip-hop sphere. Go do that. Next time you want to give Pusha T some shit, call Chad.
Is that how you want to end it?
That is how I want to end it. Call Chad. I want the Neptunes doing Pusha T shit. Or get me Kanye. Mike, inside, how I really feel. Oh, Mike, I got so many.
Well, we're going to wait until we hear the album until we actually, say those things. Because the Neptune, Pharrell might have made some fire on this album. Who knows?
No, the Lord's working on me, Mike. I'm trying not to say those things about how I feel right now. Like, I'm trying not to say those things. It's like, oh, you mother...
Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and I look forward to talking to y'all on Friday after we've heard this Pusha T, because I know most of y'all already have heard it. Make sure you subscribe to the According to Hip Hop page on YouTube. Hit that bell icon so you know when we're going live. And yeah, we're going to holler at y'all Friday.